In the vast and mystical expanse of the Tiangshuan world, specifically within the ethereal and cloud-kissed borders of Danqing Mountain, the atmosphere is thick with spiritual energy and the promise of cultivation, where towering rock formations pierce through the sea of clouds like ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of the heavens. A young woman with flowing dark hair adorned with blue ribbons ascends the steep, stone-paved stairs of the mountain, carrying a small, adorable child on her back. The child, Xiao, is wide-eyed with wonder as she takes in her first view of the sect's surroundings, her hair tied in two cute buns with yellow ribbons, while the older disciple explains that this is the territory of the Mo sect. As they continue their ascent under the starry night sky, the older disciple gently briefs Xiao on the sect's rules, emphasizing that there are 10 members in total, and that the most important figure is the sect leader, her older brother, who is 6 years her senior, a fact she relays with a mix of respect and trepidation. However, the atmosphere shifts dramatically as the disciple warns Xiao that she is never to be alone with the sect leader or learn from him, painting a terrifying picture of him as a dark, menacing figure with glowing purple eyes and a sinister grin, causing the poor child to tremble in sheer terror at the thought that he might eat little kids. The disciple quickly corrects this misconception, clarifying that he doesn't eat children but has a strange illness. While the scene transitions to reveal the subject of their conversation, Luo, standing atop a precarious wooden perch overlooking the endless sea of clouds, dressed in humble teal robes, looking out at the world with a melancholic expression as he laments his situation. Luo is not a native of this world, but a transmigrator who realizes that he has been stuck in this game world for 20 years, and his sister, the disciple carrying the child, considers his talk of game worlds and systems to be utter nonsense, leading her to look at him with a deadpan expression of pity for his perceived insanity. Suddenly, Luo's demeanor shifts as he senses their arrival, and with a dramatic flare that whips up the wind and leaves, he turns to face them, his long dark hair flowing wildly around him as he strikes a pose that he believes to be majestic, though his sister just shields the child's eyes and tells her not to listen to that man. Despite the sister's warnings, Xiao peeks through her fingers and is instantly captivated, her eyes sparkling with admiration as she beholds Luo's incredibly handsome face and dignified aura, exclaiming how handsome the legendary sect leader is, completely disregarding the earlier warnings. Luo, basking in the adoration of the new recruit, descends gracefully with a benevolent smile, welcoming the child to the Mo sect, and declaring that joining this sect is the greatest fortune of her life, his purple robes fluttering elegantly around him to enhance his charisma. However, his sister, Lu, immediately undercuts his grandiose speech, muttering to herself that Xiao has great talent and could have joined a top-tier sect, implying that joining their lowly Mo sect is actually a stroke of bad luck, while Luo shamelessly embraces the child's praise. Fearing that her brother's narcissism will corrupt the innocent child, Lu grabs Xiao and rushes away, shouting that the child must be tired and needs rest, leaving Luo reaching out to them in a comically tragic pose as he is abandoned by his own family members. Alone again under the moonlight, Luo stands on a glowing, mystical array, his expression turning serious as he activates a wind spell to dispel the dust, revealing his inner thoughts about the child's unusually high stats and his own mysterious origins. He reflects on his past, revealing that Tiangshuan world is actually a massive virtual reality game from the 22nd century, often called a parallel world, and that he has been living here as an NPC for 20 years without any cheat codes, waiting for the moment when the beta testing would officially begin. As if on cue, a golden hexagonal interface materializes in front of him with a ding, announcing that the beta testing stage is commencing and certain functions have been unlocked, causing a smirk of anticipation to curl on Luo's lips as he declares that this is exactly what he expected. The system interface expands, showing his character profile. Name: Luo level 10, health points 510/510, with a unique status indicating that his core bone can be leveled up but is currently capped, and his luck is permanently stuck at a bizarrely specific high number 3, 1,415,926, while his charm is maxed out at 10, confirming his status as a really handsome but useless character. He dismisses his weak combat stats, focusing instead on his overwhelming luck and charm, rationalizing that while being weak is temporary, being handsome is eternal, a philosophy that speaks to his narcissism. Flashbacks of his previous life flood his mind, showing him as a wealthy young man in a modern city who enjoyed the finest things in life, surrounded by luxury cars, beautiful women, and high-tech gadgets, emphasizing that his only superpower in his past life was the sheer power of money. He remembers being an average player in terms of skill, but dominating games simply by outspending everyone else, screaming at his screen as he threw millions at his problems, a stark contrast to his current frugal existence as a sect leader. The memory shifts to the moment of his death or transition, showing him alone in a high-tech gaming pod, isolated from his parents who only communicated via bank transfers, highlighting a deep sense of loneliness beneath his wealthy facade. He recalls waking up in this new world as a baby, reborn into a loving family where his parents named him Luo, bringing him a sense of warmth and affection he had never experienced in his cold, rich previous life. Back in the present, the system notifies him of a sect mission to strengthen and expand the Sect, confirming his identity as the sect leader, and he eagerly accepts it, knowing that only an idiot would refuse such an opportunity after waiting 20 years. However, the system is ruthless in its evaluation, grading the Sect with a massive, dripping black stamp that reads unqualified, shattering his confidence and leaving him staring in shock at the brutal assessment of his life's work. Luo sits on his throne in the sect hall, reviewing the requirements to reach even the lowest, 9th rank, realizing that while they have enough members, his own level is too low, labeled as beginner rank, which infuriates him as he feels insulted by the system. He suspects a bug, but the system cheekily notes that there is no bug, only a person who lacks self-awareness, forcing him to realize he must go down the mountain to achieve a breakthrough in his cultivation. Under the moonlight, he visits a lonely grave marker in the sect cemetery, offering incense to a mysterious hermit who supposedly lives there, speaking to the stone as if it were a person, hinting at hidden powers within the sect that even he relies on. The narrative moves to a sect meeting where Luo formally announces his intention to leave the mountain, but his sister Lu Donglai, sitting elegantly with a cup of tea, immediately shuts him down, accusing him of having an acting addiction and trying to show off again. Their sibling dynamic is chaotic. When Lu Donglai disrespects him, he childishly rushes over and pinches her cheeks aggressively, demanding she show him some respect as the sect leader, while she struggles and glares at him with indignation. He explains that he needs to find marrow-cleansing spirit grass to break through his cultivation bottleneck, and that they have no money to buy it, so he must dig it up himself, a declaration that reveals the dire financial state of their sect. Lu Donglai is stunned that he is actually serious about cultivation for once, but he quickly ruins the moment by striking a dramatic pose and shouting about spreading the Sect's name throughout the world, causing her to sigh and realize his show-off tendency has flared up again. The next scene shows the group preparing to leave. Luo is dressed in flashy, pristine white and blue robes, while Lu Donglai asks why they can't wear ordinary clothes to blend in, to which he responds that a sage must look the part, and that being brazen attracts the right kind of attention. Lu Donglai and her companion, a female disciple with purple hair and a curvaceous figure, trailed behind Luo on a flying magical artifact shaped like a giant leaf, gossiping about his erratic behavior while he flies ahead on his sword, looking distinctively heroic. Luo is actually focused on the system interface, which presents him with 4 colored swords representing mission difficulty: yellow easy, blue normal, purple hard, and orange fatal, glowing with intense magical light. Most players would choose yellow for speed or blue for balance, and purple is reserved for experts, but Luo, driven by his ego and the desire for the best rewards, scoffs at the easy options. With a determined glint in his eyes, he reaches out and grasps the burning, fiery orange sword, selecting the fatal mission despite the immense risk, declaring that if he has to do it, he will choose the hardest one available. The system confirms the mission acquisition, and he smirks with satisfaction, while behind him, Lu Donglai and her friend speculate on whether he noticed them following him, unaware that he is deeply engrossed in his system interface. Lu Donglai's friend, wearing a revealing blue dress, teases Donglai about her brother, wondering if her concern stems from admiration or jealousy, while Donglai vehemently denies it, claiming she feels only hate for the brother who was once a flawless swordmaster but now seems like a lunatic. They enter the forest of flames, a vibrant, autumn-colored forest filled with red maple trees, and Lu Donglai warns everyone to be careful of wild monsters, but she is shocked to see Luo landing clumsily, revealing his low cultivation level to her trained eyes. She mocks him internally, thinking that men can only depend on themselves and that he is hopeless, but suddenly, The atmosphere tightens as they discover the marrow-cleansing grass, which is guarded by a terrifying presence. The system alerts Luo Bing that the mission content is to defeat a wild monster of level 10, boss level. And he spots the glowing green plants nestled at the base of a massive tree, realizing his luck is both good, finding the grass, and bad, finding the boss. Xiao, innocent and hungry, smells the sweet aroma of the grass and wants to eat it. But Luo Bing stops her just as a massive shadow looms over them, and the ground begins to tremble with the approach of the beast. A massive black-patterned snake, level 10 pre-boss, bursts from the camouflage of the tree trunk, its scales dark as night and its maw gaping wide with venom dripping from its fangs, lunging straight for the group with terrifying speed. Luo Bing screams for the sect leader to look out, terrified for his safety, while flashbacks of their childhood surface in her mind. Memories of him being a genius swordsman who once humiliated her with a single slap during training, a memory that fuels her complex feelings of resentment and awe. However, instead of panicking, Luo Bing stands perfectly still, his eyes narrowing as he activates his luck attribute. He doesn't need to dodge because he has already calculated the outcome. As the giant snake's jaws clamp down, he unleashes a single devastating sword strike that glows with a blinding blue light, hitting the monster's vital weak point with surgical precision. The massive beast freezes midair, its eyes rolling back as the force of the blow reverberates through its body, and it crashes to the ground, dead in an instant, leaving Xiao cheering wildly for her so-cool sect leader, while Luo Bing stares in disbelief. Luo Bing sheathes his sword with a flourish, looking unimpressed as the system awards him 10,000 experience points and an orange reward box wrapped in flames, proving that his gamble paid off. He opens the reward to find an Attribute Awakening coupon, a legendary item that allows a cultivator to awaken a second elemental affinity, a feat usually reserved for those favored by the gods. The air around him crackles with energy as he activates the coupon. Lightning, wind, and fire elements swirl around him in a chaotic vortex of colors, purple for lightning, green for wind, red for fire, as the system determines his new power. Luo Bing watches in stunned silence, her mouth agape, as her useless brother bathes in the divine light of the awakening, realizing that the man she thought was a fool has just performed a miracle right before her eyes, forever changing the dynamic of the Mo sect. The scene concludes with Luo Bing standing triumphant within the pillar of light, his silhouette radiating power and mystery, as the system prompts him to check his new stats, marking the true beginning of his rise to power in the Tianquan world. The sect leader, Luo Bing, stands within a forest crackling with vibrant orange and red flames, the air thick with danger. He decides that lingering is a fool's errand. His priority is to secure the glowing, tri-leaved, marrow-cleansing spiritual grass, and then find a safe location to awaken his attribute. With swiftness and purpose, he plucks a single stalk, deeming it sufficient for his needs, and leaving the remaining two for any other fortunate soul who might stumble upon them, a quiet act of understated confidence. His two companions, a purple-haired woman and a small, big-eyed girl named Xiao, follow him as he departs. The purple-haired woman, Yu, takes the lead, promising to find a secure location for his breakthrough. Meanwhile, in a hidden grotto, a woman with long purple hair and a man in ornate green robes observe the remaining spiritual grass, musing on Luo Bing's hasty departure. The woman reveals a spiritual box designed to preserve such herbs, deciding to gift the remaining two stalks to him later, a testament to the benefits of having powerful allies. Yu quickly locates a suitable spot by a rushing waterfall, declaring a 5-meter radius clear of any threats. Luo Bing wryly comments on the small safety zone, noting he's only having a breakthrough, not surviving a heavenly tribulation. But Yu earnestly reminds him that he was the one who taught her the importance of safety first. As he sits preparing himself, he holds the faintly glowing spiritual grass and tells Xiao that his brother senses something is about to leap out of his body. Xiao, eyes wide with excitement, asks if he's going to eat the fragrant grass and if she can have some. Luo Bing gently refuses, explaining that after eating it, she would be in a lot of pain. He then consumes the grass in one bite. A moment later, his body tenses, and he grips himself tightly as a wave of agony washes over him. Xiao panics, yelling for her master to help the sect leader, thinking he's just got a stomach ache from eating something bad. The master and Yu, however, watch with intense focus, recognizing the signs of an imminent breakthrough. The master asks Yu if Luo Bing will awaken an attribute, just as she and Xiao did. Yu dismisses the idea as impossible, citing ancient scrolls that state no one has ever successfully awakened an attribute past the age of 16. She firmly believes Luo Bing will be no exception, given his age. But as she speaks, a brilliant, impossibly bright golden light erupts from Luo Bing, shooting into the heavens. The sheer spectacle leaves both Yu and her master gaping in shock, their previous certainty shattered. The celestial phenomenon attracts the attention of other cultivators in the distance, who eagerly fly towards the light, hoping to witness a rare event. However, as they approach, a formidable wave of pink and purple spiritual energy washes over them, an unspoken warning from the powerful master protecting her disciple. The onlookers, recognizing the immense power of a fifth-rank cultivator or higher, wisely halt their advance and retreat, understanding that some spectacles are best viewed from a great distance, lest they lose their lives. Luo Bing, meanwhile, finds his consciousness transported to an ethereal space, a galaxy of twinkling stars and floating, colored orbs of pure energy. He realizes these are the raw energies of heaven and earth. As he drifts through this cosmic sea, the orbs of power seem to actively avoid him, darting away from his presence. He feels a sense of rejection until he spots a single, unique energy, one that seems different from all the others. This one doesn't flee. It approaches him, and he understands it's the one destined for him, a power befitting his unique nature. Back in the physical world, as Luo Bing communes with his attribute, a tangible miracle occurs. The thundering waterfall behind the group suddenly and completely stops, its torrent frozen midair as if time itself has been suspended. His companions stare in stunned silence at the impossible sight. As Luo Bing's eyes flutter open, the world is bathed in an overwhelming golden radiance. A majestic, disembodied voice booms from the sky, declaring attribute awakening. His master gasps, identifying the phenomenon as the heavenly order, an event that only occurs for the very first person in history to awaken a specific power of heaven and earth. She realizes Luo Bing is not just awakening an attribute, but pioneering a new one. The onlookers, watching the spectacle from afar, marvel at the sight, wondering what sect such a prodigious disciple belongs to. The heavenly voice continues to echo, and his companions count each repetition, understanding that the number of times the heavenly order sounds corresponds to the cultivator's potential. The count climbs past 6, the baseline for geniuses, and continues upward. Xiao nervously hopes it will reach the 9th time, the legendary peak. As the 8th chime rings out, Luo Bing, standing within the golden light, scoffs at the idea of his fate being dictated by a number. He declares his destiny is his own to decide. On his own terms, the 9th chime of the heavenly order resounds, and with a final, forceful declaration, he commands his attribute to awaken. A system window materializes before him, confirming his success. Congratulations, you have successfully awakened your attribute and acquired the power of heaven and earth, water. He tests his newfound abilities immediately. Standing before the river, he raises a hand, and the water coalesces into a swirling orb above his palm. With another gesture, it disperses back into the river. He feels the entire world has become clearer, more defined. He senses his control extends even to the water within living beings, a realization that hints at the terrifying and profound depth of his new power. After the spectacle, Yu diligently erases all traces of their presence, upholding their sect's principle of keeping a low profile, much to Luo Bing's playful chagrin as he laments that his grand miracle went unseen. As they travel, the master and Yu express their concern. Luo Bing has awakened a legendary attribute, but has not yet broken through the beginner's rank, a highly unusual and potentially troubling situation. They are unaware that Luo Bing is facing a different kind of problem. A system window in his mind shows that his experience points have long been maxed out, and he now has the option to level up. The question is not if, but how many levels he should ascend at once. He makes his decision, takes a cup of spirit spring water from Xiao and drinks. The moment the water touches his lips, his power erupts. Golden light flares around him as level-up indicators flash in rapid succession. Level 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. In a single instant, with a mere cup of water, he breaks through 5 consecutive levels. His companions are left utterly speechless, their minds struggling to comprehend what they just witnessed. How could someone break through 5 levels without even meditating? Yu quickly rationalizes the impossible event, concluding that Luo Bing must have been intentionally suppressing his cultivation for years, a feat requiring unimaginable willpower and a testament to his long-term planning. The master agrees, reflecting on the unshakable spirit for cultivation he has possessed since he was a child. For Luo Bing, the rewards continue. The system announces that his Mo sect now qualifies for advancement to 9th rank sect, which he promptly accepts. He's rewarded with 50,000 experience points, and more importantly, a precious attribute point for swordsmanship aptitude, raising it to 2. A new sect mission appears. Advance to the 8th rank by increasing the sect's reputation, recruiting more disciples, and cultivating more powerful members. The master-disciple system unlocks, revealing the names of his parents, Lu Qingfeng, as his masters, their names rendered in gray to signify they have passed on. He takes a solemn moment to look at their names, silently vowing that the Mo sect will prosper under his leadership. His thoughts then turn to his own disciple, Hai Ting, who is also at level 10 and due for a breakthrough. He finds the young man sitting alone and asks why he remains stuck in the 1st rank. The scene flashes back years earlier to a small village where a young, dirt-streaked Hai Ting was being condemned by the fearful villagers. They claimed evil was rooted deep within him, and that he was destined to become a great calamity. A younger Luo Bing arrived, his confident presence cutting through the mob's paranoia. He announced himself as a disciple of the Mo sect, and ignoring the villagers' dire warnings, offered to take Hai Ting as his sword boy. He declared that he would take full responsibility for whatever Hai Ting became in the future. He then led the boy away from the only home he'd ever known, up the winding path of Danqing Mountain. He took the boy's small hand, telling him the road ahead would be harsh. He acknowledged the old saying about how to create a great evil by showing someone a glimmer of light only to extinguish it. But he told Hai Ting that his light was different, because he was the future's most dependable person in the entire Tiangshuan world. In the present, Luo Bing's voice cuts through Hai Ting's troubled memories. He tells his disciple that there is no mist in the world that cannot be dispersed. Those simple words act as a key, unlocking something deep within Hai Ting. The young man's eyes widen in sudden, profound understanding. As he looks up at the sky, his inner turmoil vanishes, replaced by clarity. In that moment, a brilliant blue aura erupts around him. And in the year 14,921 of the Tiangshuan calendar, the Mo sect's eldest disciple, Hai Ting, breaks through the beginner's rank with nothing more than a single enlightened look at the heavens. A system notification, glowing gold, declares that the disciple, Hai Ting, has successfully leveled up, granting the sect leader 5,000 experience points. The sect leader, Luo Bing, stands with a self-satisfied smirk on his face, his dark hair flowing around him as he muses internally that he is, as expected, quite talented when it comes to teaching and educating others. His thoughts are interrupted by the sound of clapping. A young girl with orange hair tied in 2 buns, Xiao, claps her hands together with a look of pure adoration, her eyes sparkling as she exclaims that the sect leader is truly amazing. Nearby, a young man with a long ponytail, his expression one of awe, agrees, saying that Senior Luo Bing is indeed amazing. He contemplates the unique way Luo Bing used the power of heaven and earth, a method he'd never conceived of before. He originally thought that awakening his attribute in the beginner stage would be of little use, but he marvels at how Luo Bing actually used that ability to dispel the mental barrier hindering his disciple's heart. He concludes that only senior brother Luo Bing is capable of such a feat. Another woman with long purple hair watches the scene unfold, a slight smile on her lips as she thinks to herself that they are an ill-fated pair. Hai Ting, the disciple who just had her breakthrough, turns to her brother Dong Lai and suggests that since they have both achieved breakthroughs, it will be more convenient to travel by flying on an item from now on. Luo Bing, overhearing this and feeling in a good mood, wonders aloud where his item is, fantasizing about receiving a limited edition leaf boat from Auntie Ning. This prompts Hai Ting to ask what limited edition means, while Xiao, ever focused on her stomach, asks if it's something one can eat. Her stomach then lets out a loud growl and she clutches it, pathetically announcing that she is hungry. Dong Lai and Hai Ting's eyes light up with excitement as they shout in agreement. As their flying sword accelerates, Xiao clings on, exclaiming at the sudden speed. Luo Bing tells her to hold her tongue, promising she'll understand once she's tasted his cooking. Hai Ting, however, looks skeptical, quietly asking if the sect leader is really good at cooking. Soon they land in a beautiful forest clearing filled with trees bearing crimson leaves, and Luo Bing immediately announces he's going to catch some fish. As Hai Ting watches him go, a sudden blindingly bright golden light erupts from Xiao's body. A system notification appears, congratulating the kid on becoming a rank 1 cultivator. Hai Ting is overjoyed, hugging the bewildered Xiao. Another system window appears before Luo Bing, this one informing him that his sect, the Mo sect, has fulfilled the standards of a 9th rank sect and asks if he will accept the advancement. Luo Bing smiles, thinking to himself that there's nothing to hesitate about and accepts the advancement. Later, while Elder Dong Lai prepares a meal over a fire, Lu Keoj reclines in a bamboo chair, beckoning Xiao Qiu over, telling her that the sect leader will teach her a little about how to be a cultivator. Nearby, Dong Lai observes with a surprised expression, noting that his senior brother's storage bag seems to be used for storing all sorts of daily necessities rather than just cultivation items. Hai Ting returns triumphantly, holding up 2 large fish she has caught for her brother. Meanwhile, Lu Keoj begins his lesson with Xiao Qiu. He asks her what she should say in response when she's won a match, but her opponent is still stubbornly arguing. He gives her an example, starting the phrase, "It's not the road that's uneven." Xiao Qiu, with a fiercely determined look on her face, finishes the taunt perfectly. "But you're simply too weak." Lu Keoj claps, praising her, exclaiming that she is very promising. Hai Ting, however, watches this exchange with utter horror, her face turning pale as she realizes that Xiao Qiu has been infected by the sect leader's arrogant personality. She then notices Lu Keoj leaning close to Xiao Qiu, asking if she feels a little cold too, a menacing green aura appearing behind him. This is the last straw for Hai Ting, who leaps to her feet, brandishing 2 fish like weapons, and screams at her brother to stay away from her disciple, calling out Dong Lai's name in fury. Some time later, a delicious-looking pot of fish soup sits over the fire. Hai Ting lectures Xiao Qiu, telling her she absolutely cannot act like her sect leader, warning her that if one is not humble, they will definitely get beaten to death one day. Xiao Qiu, however, just gives a thumbs up, puffing out her chest and confidently declaring, "Don't worry, Mo Sect has me." Lu Keoj, overhearing this, pats her on the head and praises her, saying, "Well said." Hai Ting slumps in defeat, her face a mask of despair as she realizes it's the end. Xiao Qiu has been completely and utterly infected. Their journey continues, and they soon arrive at the majestic Danqing Peak. As they fly in on a large green leaf, Xiao Qiu and Hai Ting let out satisfied burps, with Xiao Qiu commenting that the fish soup the sect leader made was just too delicious. Lu Keoj, standing behind them, scoffs internally at the idea that cooking is difficult, recalling how he learned all sorts of dishes just to gain favorability from someone in his past. As they land, 2 figures are waiting for them, a beautiful woman with vibrant purple hair, Auntie Ning, and the young man with the long ponytail from before, Yu Yu. Auntie Ning greets them, acting as if their meeting is a coincidence, a fact that her disciple notes internally, thinking it's a waste her master didn't become an actress. Dong Lai asks Auntie Ning if she will reward him with a leaf boat for his recent breakthrough, and she laughingly agrees. She then turns her attention to Lu Keoj, playfully grabbing his head and calling him a little brat. Lu Keoj notes that Yu Yu's reaction is strange. Normally he would retaliate, but today he seems to be enjoying it, making Lu Keoj wonder if he's picked up some weird kinks. Auntie Ning suggests they all go inside, offering to give pointers on their cultivation. Hai Ting thanks her, saying she has finished asking her questions. Auntie Ning then turns to Lu Keoj, asking if he has anything to ask. He does. He asks whether it's better for a sword wielder with a relatively low cultivation level to focus on breaking into higher ranks first, or to cultivate their sword intent first. He explains his reasoning. Unlocking sword intent costs 10,000 experience points, the same amount that could let him level up 3 times. He wants to know which is the greater advantage. Auntie Ning explains that theoretically, it is definitely better to master sword intent as early as possible. She elaborates that every great sword cultivator in history mastered it far earlier than their peers. Once sword intent is mastered, every subsequent breakthrough grants a much larger boost in ability, comparing it to gaining a cup and a half or even 2 cups of water versus just a single cup for those without it. Auntie Ning comically spits out her tea, wiping her mouth and wondering when she ever expressed such an expectation of him. Yu Yu, standing nearby, scoffs loudly, declaring that quickly mastering the sword intent is impossible. Lu Keoj turns to him, asking why it's impossible. Yu Yu explains with fiery intensity that the sword intent is not as shallow as he thinks. He describes his own arduous journey, cultivating like a madman and wandering between life and death just to achieve a half step into its gates. Lu Keoj remains unfazed, countering that if he mastered the sword intent at his age, he would surpass all the sword sovereigns throughout history. Yu Yu glares at him, his face a mask of indignation, insisting that sword intent is not something to be taken so lightly. Lu Keoj simply replies with a dismissive, HMPH. This infuriates Yu Yu, who thinks to himself that Lu Keoj is dead for daring to HMPH him. Hai Ting watches with concern, recognizing that her brother is biting off more than he can chew but resolving to protect his reputation. Auntie Ning, seeing the conflict, cleverly suggests that since Yu Yu is half a step into the gates of sword intent, the 2 of them should exchange some blows and learn from each other. Both young men immediately agree. They move to an open courtyard, the sun setting behind them, casting long shadows. Auntie Ning sets the conditions for the duel. Since it's a competition focusing on sword intent, Yu must lower his power to match Luo Bing's to ensure fairness. Yu readily agrees. He draws his sword, a magnificent blade that glows with power, and tells Luo Bing to enlighten him and unsheath his own sword. The onlookers admire Yu's blade, though Auntie Ning remarks that their own swords are not too shabby either. Xiao Qiu asks Hai Ting if Uncle Yu is that skilled, and Hai Ting confirms that he is one of the most outstanding, if not the strongest, among the younger generation. Xiao Qiu, however, folds her arms confidently, stating that it looks like a sure win for the sect leader. Yu stands ready, asking again why senior brother Kog won't unsheath his sword. Luo Bing stands calmly with his hand on the hilt of his sheathed weapon, his back to the setting sun, and replies ominously, because lives will be lost. Yu's eyes widen in anger, taking this as a slight. He furiously asks if Luo Bing is saying he isn't worthy enough for him to even draw his blade. Luo Bing simply shakes his head, clarifying that Yu has it wrong. He explains that he sealed his sword for 9 years, but it wasn't to wait for him. Enraged, Yu lunges forward, shouting at him to stop talking and start fighting back, declaring that if Luo Bing won't unsheath his sword, he'll force him to. A flurry of attacks ensues. Yu's sword moves like a blur, clashing repeatedly against Luo Bing's scabbard. Luo Bing, however, moves with an almost supernatural grace, dodging and deflecting every single blow without ever drawing his weapon, the impacts creating small bursts of energy in the air. The onlookers are impressed. Xiao Qiu cheers that the sect leader is amazing, while Hai Ting notes that holding his ground with just tricky moves isn't easy, though she worries that if this continues, her brother will surely lose. The battle intensifies. Yu, growing more desperate, shouts at Luo Bing to unsheath his sword again and again. Luo Bing points out that Yu is refusing to use his own nascent sword intent, yet is stubbornly trying to force his hand. Pushed to his limit, Yu finally relents. With a roar, he declares he will unleash his sword intent as wished. A powerful, swirling red aura explodes from his body and his sword. Hai Ting feels her own sword vibrating in its scabbard, realizing with a shock that it's being affected by Yu's power. She finally understands what sword intent truly is. Luo Bing, however, remains unimpressed, stating that Yu's sword intent is too shabby to even affect his own sword. Yu channels his energy, gathering a massive amount of swirling blue and black power around himself and his blade, announcing that this is his strongest sword tactic, and that Luo Bing better look out. As the devastating attack rushes towards him, Luo Bing calmly observes the difference between having a sword intent and not. He thinks to himself, "I understand now," and makes a decision. He says one phrase to his internal system, "Unlock it." A golden system window appears, deducting 100,000 experience points to unlock sword intent. Immediately after, another window appears, deducting 1,000,000 more experience points to raise the sword intent to level 1. As Yu's lone sword technique barrels towards him, Auntie Ning and Hai Ting prepare to intervene, knowing the attack cannot be withdrawn once unleashed. But before they can move, an immense power erupts from Luo Bing. A pure, overwhelming, and complete sword intent manifests around him, a swirling vortex of blue and white energy that dwarfs Yu's own aura. Everyone is stunned into silence. Auntie Ning whispers in disbelief, wondering how many more surprises he can possibly show her. Hai Ting trembles, recognizing the feeling and realizing with shock that her brother has awakened his sword intent. Xiao Qiu simply stares, starstruck, thinking the sect leader looks like someone who walked right out of a painting. Yu is completely frozen, the familiar yet overwhelmingly powerful feeling of the complete sword intent washing over him. Luo Bing smirks, casually remarking that one can acquire it as long as they are smart enough. This shatters Yu's composure. He screams that it's impossible as the two powers collide. Luo Bing's complete sword intent effortlessly shatters Yu's lone sword technique. In a rapid series of clashes, Luo Bing, still using only his sheathed sword, completely dominates the fight, pushing Yu back again and again. Yu, screaming, "I don't believe it," is ultimately disarmed, his sword sent flying through the air. Luo Bing appears behind him, the tip of his scabbard resting gently on Yu's shoulder. "You've lost," he states simply. Yu collapses to his knees, utterly defeated. He looks up at Luo Bing, his eyes filled with confusion and disbelief, recounting the immense sacrifices he made to master the sword intent, sparring with masters, fighting ferocious beasts, sealing his own cultivation, and asks why Luo Bing could acquire it so easily. He asks for an explanation to dispel his doubt. Luo Bing explains that Yu has had access to ancient records and guidance from a sword saint, which is equivalent to standing on the shoulders of a giant. Since you're already standing on the shoulders of a giant, Luo Bing asks, why not try setting your sight on something higher? Isn't history something to be surpassed? These words strike Yu like lightning. He murmurs that history is something to be surpassed, finally understanding that his own mindset was too limited. Hai Ting watches this, exasperated, as her brother begins his philosophical acting again, and now Yu has been affected too. Humbled, Yu asks another question. When exactly did Luo Bing start comprehending the sword intent? Luo Bing looks off into the distance and replies, the very moment I held the sword in my hand. Internally, he justifies this lie by reasoning that his experience points, which he used to buy the skill, were accumulated from the moment he first held a sword, so it makes total sense. Yu is deeply moved by this answer, declaring that he has been enlightened. He then asks one final question, may he have a look at Luo Bing's sword? Luo Bing's expression turns deadly serious. You'll die, he says coldly. He explains that his sword, named Bu Wan, has not been unsheathed for 9 years and is not prepared for him. He reveals the tragic story of his parents, who died fighting a mysterious monster in Qingzhou 9 years prior. His sword has been sealed ever since, prepared for that one single purpose. The day it gets unsheathed, Luo Bing says, his eyes filled with cold fury, will also be the day I exact my revenge. Yu understands at last, looking at the sheathed sword with newfound reverence and fear, admitting to himself that he is truly not worthy to face it. Under the luminous glow of a full moon, the sect leader Luo Bing strolls through a desolate wooded path, his mind troubled. He muses over the extended stay of his guests, Auntie Ning and Yu. While Auntie Ning's presence is welcome as she is crafting a flying tool for him, the presence of the young man, Yu, grates on him. He thinks about how Yu was enlightened 3 times after their spar, a feat befitting a main character of the world, and feels a pang of envy, even as he recognizes himself as a cheater with a system. He quickly dismisses the thought, reminding himself that he has already broken through the beginner's realm and new skills are coming his way. As he ponders this, a woman with vibrant purple and orange hair, presumably Auntie Ning, sneezes far away, sensing someone is talking about her. She decides to cast an extra defensive spell on Bing, noting that he has a face that seems to attract trouble. Back in the present, Luo Bing stands before an ancient stone pillar, calling out for his benefactor. A whimsical, glowing purple spirit, shaped vaguely like a cat, materializes before him, looking dazed. He asks the spirit if it can tell he's had a breakthrough, noting that while the benefactor isn't smart, its legendary strength should allow it to perceive his advancement. The spirit remains unresponsive and dazed, frustrating him. With a sigh of resignation, he realizes he must pay a price for its attention. He pricks his finger, offering a drop of his blood essence, complaining that his father only had to offer spiritual beads, whereas he must offer something so precious. As the drop of blood floats towards the spirit, it glows with a brilliant purple light, and the spirit lets out a happy ow. The sect leader watches, feeling drained, and laments that if not for the generous conditions of their contract, he wouldn't part with his essence so easily. In exchange for his offering, a glowing purple jade slip materializes before him. He examines his reward, the 2nd volume of the air condensing technique, a purple rank cultivation method. He reflects on how rare and valuable such a technique is in the Tiangshuan world, where even blue rank techniques are impressive. This specific technique works by liquefying the surrounding spiritual aura and absorbing it like water, a perfect match for his water attribute. He initially assumes it's a low-tier purple rank item, which would already be a treasure in a top sect, but then his eyes widen in shock as he reads the description more closely. The jade slip is not low-tier, but a purple rank mid-tier item. He questions the dazed benefactor, wondering if it made a mistake, but it just floats there, seemingly malfunctioning. A thrilling thought crosses his mind. What if each volume of the technique increases in rank? Could it eventually become an orange rank technique? The prospect fills him with a greedy excitement, and he makes a comical, determined face, thinking he can squeeze out a few more drops of blood essence for such a prize. He tries to bargain with the spirit, offering more blood essence for the future volumes, but the spirit simply gestures non-communicatively. He correctly interprets its silent message. It has lost its memory and knows nothing more. He marvels at their strange synergy born from his familiarity with the spirit's quirks. The spirit waves a cheerful goodbye, its form glowing happily now that it has his blood essence, and vanishes. The scene then cuts to a young girl with blonde hair tied in buns, Xiao Qiu, cheerfully telling a distraught woman that the Mo sect still has her in the future. The woman, Lu Dongli, who is the sect leader's sister, cries that the girl is the very reason she feels hopeless. She frets that with her brother being the way he is, and her disciple being so naive and unique, the girl would be beaten to death the moment she stepped outside the sect. Luo Bing hatches a plan to protect the girl from the trope-filled world of cultivators, where apprentices get beaten, leading to their masters getting beaten, and so on up the chain of command. She grabs the confused Xiao and gives her a stern order. From now on, when she leaves the mountains, she is forbidden to say she is the disciple of Luo Bing. Instead, she must claim to be the disciple of Luo Bing. Luo Bing believes this will deflect all the trouble onto her brother. With her plan set, she decides to also make Xiao's training incredibly harsh, ensuring no one can defeat her in the first place, and forbids her from leaving the mountain until she reaches a passable standard. To seal her resolve, she dramatically swears on her brother's life. She then thinks of another disciple, Luo Bing, who she trained diligently only for the girl to want to become her sister-in-law, a memory that clearly annoys her. Back with Luo Bing, he begins to practice his new air condensing technique. The spiritual energy of the atmosphere swirls around him violently, forming a vortex of power as he absorbs it to gain experience points. He gains massive amounts of EXP, with plus 10,000 flashing repeatedly. However, the process is agonizingly painful, scouring his flesh from the inside out, a torment he compares to injecting air into his blood vessels. The pain becomes too much, and he violently retches, realizing he can't risk his life for a little more EXP. Lying on the ground, exhausted, he wishes for an easier, more comfortable cultivation method, perhaps even a dual cultivation technique. His thoughts are interrupted by a glowing object streaking across the night sky. It's the Leaf Light boat, carrying Auntie Ning and Yu, who have come to see him before they depart. Auntie Ning hands him the spiritual tool she crafted for him. Upon inspection, it's revealed to be the Leaf Light boat, a transportation tool she has masterfully upgraded from a yellow rank to a blue rank item by embedding a one-time use hidden water curtain spell within it. Keoj is deeply touched by her care and effort. Auntie Ning notices that he was able to perceive the hidden spell, despite his current cultivation level, and wonders if he has a talent for refining. He affirms his commitment to cultivating for a long life, stating his goal is to live to be 500 years old. This resonates with Auntie Ning, as he explains it was his mother's wish to live that long, and he wants to live those years for her. Moved, Auntie Ning gives him a jade slip containing 10 simple spiritual tool refining techniques, encouraging him to explore his potential gift. After a quick and slightly awkward farewell where he brushes off an eager Yu, the two visitors depart on the Leaf Light boat. No sooner have they vanished into the night sky than a wooden token attached to a dagger flies out of the darkness and embeds itself in the ground before him. It bears the name of the Jang Jin Sect. Luo Bing sighs, annoyed at the provocation. He reflects on the hierarchy of the sects. His Mo sect is at the absolute bottom of the lower 100 sects, a vassal to the Great Sword sect. The Jang Jin sect is only a lower middle-class sect within this same bottom tier, yet they have the arrogance to challenge his Mo sect's long-held dominance over their shared territory. Contemptuously, he draws a symbol in the air with his finger, sending a message back to them. Inside a lavishly decorated room, the Jang Jin sect leader, he too, a man with a scarred face, arrogantly dismisses the Mo sect to a female disciple from the Q Shui sect. He scoffs at Luo Bing's recent breakthrough and claims the Mo sect no longer has the right to challenge him. His subordinate alerts him that a reply has come. Confident that the reply will be one of submission, he eagerly grabs the magical message. He opens it only to find a single dismissive word written in flowing black ink. Seen. The casual disrespect is like a slap in the face. Enraged, he clenches his fist, the magical message cracking under the pressure. The female disciple calls Luo Bing arrogant and unmannered, and they conspire to teach him a lesson about respecting the strong at the upcoming 3-sect gathering. Later at the Mo sect, Luo Bing asks her brother if he wants her to accompany him to the gathering in 3 days. He declines, explaining that if she came while concealing her cultivation base, others would perceive her as weak and look down on their sect. As they speak, a gentle breeze flows through the room, a wind he recognizes as one of pure desire. He realizes that his sister's main disciple, Luo Bing, has just achieved a breakthrough. This triggers a memory for him, a flashback to a bustling, opulent auction house. A younger Luo Bing stands on stage, her first night being auctioned off to a crowd of leering men. The bids climb higher and higher, a source of envy for the other women of the brothel. Just as the bidding reaches its peak, a figure in dark robes, who is revealed to be a disguised Luo Bing, makes an outrageous bid of 10,000 taels. The crowd is stunned into silence. Luo Bing clarifies that the bid is not for the girl's first night, but to buy her freedom and take her away completely. The brothel madam, seeing the immense profit, quickly agrees and pushes a stunned Luo Bing towards her new master. That night, on her 11th birthday, Lu Dongli became like a descending god to Luo Bing, saving her from her fate. The flashback ends, and we see Lu Keoj in the present, clenching his fists in frustration, lamenting that this very disciple his sister saved now seems to think only of becoming his sister-in-law. An elegantly dressed woman with pink hair presents a formal deed to the young sect leader, a man with long, dark purple hair and a perpetually calm expression. She informs him that the young woman beside her, Luo Bing, now belongs to him. The surrounding crowd of women murmurs in admiration, noting how handsome the sect leader is, and that Luo Bing must have accumulated lifetimes of good fortune to be bought by him. One woman even wishes she were younger so she could have competed for his attention. The pink-haired woman nudges Luo Bing, urging her to call the sect leader her master. Luo Bing looks down, a blush on her cheeks, internally accepting that her fate is now in the hands of the man holding her deed. The sect leader, however, looks at the paper with disinterest. Without a word, he rips the deed, which is worth a staggering 10,000 taels, into pieces that flutter to the ground. He declares that Luo Bing is free. The crowd is stunned, calling him an idiot for destroying such a valuable asset. Luo Bing stares at him, her eyes wide with disbelief, as a slow realization dawns on her. She thinks to herself that he isn't an idiot at all, and that from this day forward she will follow him, with or without a deed. A younger girl with dark hair tied up, who appears to be the sect leader's sister, steps forward. She grabs Luo Bing's hand, smiling brightly and offering to lead the way as they depart. As they walk through the city at night, the streets are alive with the warm glow of countless flower lanterns. Luo Bing is mesmerized, remarking that it's her first time out of the inn and how beautiful everything is. The sect leader calmly tells her that from now on, she will see even more beautiful things. Luo Bing looks at him with adoration, replying that she has already seen the most beautiful thing in the world. The sister watches this interaction with growing jealousy, annoyed that Luo Bing is staring so intently at her brother. She tries to get their attention, suggesting they take a stroll to appreciate the lanterns. The sect leader has a moment of internal contemplation, a glowing blue interface appearing before his eyes, displaying Luo Bing's stats. Her luck, swordsmanship, talent, and core bone are all rated highly, and most importantly, he has a special trait with a chance to unlock a hidden event, making her an extremely valuable treasure in his eyes. He internally justifies the 10,000 taels he spent as the entire fortune of the Mo sect, concluding that he couldn't possibly be making a loss on this investment. His sister, Dongli, interrupts his thoughts, stomping her foot in frustration and demanding he save her some face when their disciples arrive. He ignores her, distracted by a strange, sweet scent in the air. He realizes with alarm that a powerful individual is about to depart, and the scent of her pure desire wind is growing stronger. Elsewhere, in a serene, moonlit grove filled with glowing butterflies and cherry blossoms, a beautiful woman in a flowing green and white gown lands gracefully. She remarks that it has been a while since she last met him, and that she has finally reached the first rank. Her voice echoes in the sect leader's mind, a telepathic summons for him to come to the bamboo house. Later, Dongli confronts her brother, her face a mask of jealous anger. She demands to know why he is taking Luo Bing to the gathering of 3 sects instead of her. He calmly asks if she's jealous, which only infuriates her more, causing her to gulp down her drink. He explains his reasoning. The gathering is a chance for each sect to show off its strength. Taking his subordinate, Hai Ting, would make no impact, and taking Dongli would be useless since she always hides her true power. Therefore, Luo Bing is the only one who can properly represent the Mo sect's strength. He adds that it's general knowledge that the prettier the woman beside a sect leader, the more effectively a sect's power is demonstrated. Just as he finishes his explanation, Luo Bing arrives, greeting him and her new master. The sect leader internally marvels at her technique. Noting how she perfectly matched the exhaustion from rushing over with a unique breathing method, she must have learned from a brothel, calling her a master among masters. He is also struck by a sense of familiarity, thinking that every time he sees her, he's reminded of looking at close-up photos on the internet in his past life. Her elegance is exactly the same. He informs Luo Bing that she will be coming with him to the gathering of 3 sects in 3 days. Luo Bing is overjoyed, seeing this as the perfect chance to get closer to him. Her happy smile is too much for Dongli, who, consumed by jealousy, clenches her fist so hard that the object she's holding cracks loudly. She stands up abruptly, furious at the existence of the creature known as a sister-in-law. After Dongli storms off, Hai Ting nervously remarks that it seems she was seriously offended. The sect leader glares at him, sarcastically thanking him for stating the obvious. Hai Ting, flustered, tries to pour him tea, but Luo Bing gracefully intervenes, telling him to leave it to her. She begins a delicate and alluring ritual of pouring tea, a tea art designed to show off her charms. The sect leader, however, completely ignores her performance, lost in thought about his sister's jealousy. Luo Bing is dismayed, wondering how she could be ignored again. The sect leader internally muses that while her tea art is outstanding, he's seen much greater tricks in his previous life and has grown numb to such displays. Luo Bing, watching his cold and elegant demeanor, has a revelation. She realizes that if he were the type of man to fall for such simple tricks, he wouldn't be the young lord she's deeply in love with. A new fire of determination lights up in her eyes as she resolves to win him over with real actions. The next 3 days, Luo Bing finds every excuse to stay in the sect leader's house, effectively taking over Hai Ting's duties. She attempts a series of seductive arts, all of which fail spectacularly. Her first attempt involves unintentionally revealing her neckline while wiping a table. The sect leader, unimpressed, dryly comments that she'll wipe a layer off the table's surface if she continues. Next, she accidentally gets her clothes completely wet, making them translucent. He asks what's wrong with her that she can't even pour water properly and orders Hai Ting to throw her out. Her final, most audacious attempt is to pretend to trip, aiming to fall gracefully onto his bed while showing off her legs. He simply watches her roll around and coldly asks Hai Ting to change the bedsheets. After 3 days of her failed attempts, the sect leader emerges from his cultivation, a divine aura swirling around him. He announces that it's time to leave for the gathering. As they travel on a magical, leaf-like vessel through the clouds, Luo Bing is ecstatic. This is her first trip alone with the young lord. In her excitement, she murmurs to herself that being alone with him is just like sleeping in the same bed. She immediately claps a hand over her mouth, horrified that she said it out loud. The sect leader turns to her with a cold, questioning gaze. Panicking, she quickly covers her mistake with a torrent of flattery, saying she meant he is so outstanding that he will surely outshine everyone at the gathering. He waves his hand dismissively, telling her to stop licking his boots. Luo Bing misinterprets this crude phrase as a signal from him, something her old master Bao had told her about. Her heart pounds with excitement, thinking happiness has come too suddenly. He then tells her she doesn't have to serve him in such a subservient way. She replies that she was, in fact, bought by him in the past. Sensing that she still sees herself as lower than others, he asks if she really likes addressing him as young lord. Thinking he prefers a more intimate form of address, she takes a deep breath and with a blush calls him daddy. The sect leader is so shocked he spits his drink everywhere and immediately uses his power to magically seal her mouth shut, muttering about how her childhood education has truly ruined her. They finally arrive at their destination, the towering gazing mountains. As they approach a pavilion, 2 figures on flying swords swoop down to meet them. Luo Bing calls out that someone is here, but the sect leader calmly states there's no need to greet them, as they've only been sent to pick a fight. The 2 disciples, a smirking man named Zhang Chu and a woman named Shen Xio, land before them. Their plan is to act polite and greet him as juniors, putting him in a position where he cannot retaliate without looking like a bully. They bow low, greeting sect leader Lu. However, the sect leader doesn't respond as they expect. Instead, he remains silent, an invisible pressure descending upon them. The air grows heavy, and a purple energy seems to freeze them in place. They find they can't lift their heads, as if a mountain is pressing down on them. They struggle against the force, unable to move. With a flick of his wrist, the sect leader releases the pressure, sending them stumbling back. Luo Bing remarks that playing with them is like a breeze for the young lord with his divine water powers. Zhang Chu, furious and humiliated, refuses to be intimidated. He declares that those were just underhanded tricks and lunges forward, drawing his sword to attack. The sect leader watches his approach with an expression of utter boredom. As the blade is about to strike, he simply raises a single finger. An immense, invisible force erupts from him, slamming into Zhang Chu and sending him flying backwards, screaming in agony. The shockwave hits Shen Xio as well, causing her to violently cough up blood. The sect leader lowers his hand and states simply, "Too noisy." Luo Bing gazes at him with pure admiration, thinking to herself that the young lord is as dominating as ever. Shen Xio watches in terror as her partner, Zhang Chu, lies groaning on the ground, bleeding profusely and begging her to stop the bleeding. She hesitates, her mind racing with fear. She wonders if she can even try to help him, terrified that the calm, purple-haired sect leader sitting at the nearby pavilion will simply aim a finger at her head and end her life. The sect leader, Luo Bing, casually lifts his cup and says, "Serve the tea." This simple command sends a jolt of panic through Shen Xio. She believes he is allowing her to treat her partner's injuries. She scrambles over and begins to apply pressure to the wound, her hands trembling. After a moment, she breathes a sigh of relief, but then she glances up at Luo Bing. His eyes are hidden in shadow, and a terrifying aura emanates from him, making her question how the rumored, useless sect leader could possess such a powerful presence. Luo then speaks again, his voice even and devoid of emotion. "What's wrong? Thirsty?" The question hangs in the air, and Shen Qinking's face drains of color, sweat beading on her forehead. She is certain this is not a genuine offer of refreshment but a veiled threat, meaning, "Get lost, or are you waiting for me to serve you your last drink?" Without another moment of hesitation, she hoists her injured partner onto her back and flees with supernatural speed. Desperate to escape, Luo Bing, sitting with the sect leader, remarks that the woman seemed to understand his meaning. He agrees, admitting he misspoke earlier. He invites Luo Bing to sit, noting that there are no outsiders around and the scenery is quite nice. As she sits, Luo Bing continues her praise, telling him that what he did was amazing, an example of the art of flattery that must be continued to the end. She gazes at him, her eyes full of adoration, thinking how stunning and charming he is. The sect leader glances at her, internally noting her familiar scent, a perfect match for a young lady, but he schools his features, knowing he can't react or she'll only become more infatuated. The scene is serene, with cherry blossoms drifting in the wind, a peacefulness that makes even the bloodstains on the ground seem like blooming red flowers. Elsewhere, Shen Qingqing crashes through a forest, stumbling and falling as she flees. Her injured partner, Zhang Chu, awakens and is shocked to see her flying on her sword. He tries to speak, but she screams at him not to talk to her as she lands clumsily at the gates of the Jang Jin sect. Other disciples rush out, shocked to see their second senior brother so heavily injured and with strange scratch marks on his face. Back in their main hall, the master of the Jang Jin sect, a stern-looking man with a goatee, and his female companion listen as Shen Qingqing gives her report. She frantically explains that Luo injured their people and ruined Zhang Chu's face with scratch marks. The master slams his fist down in a rage, shouting Luo's name. The female companion calmly notes that her master can't contain his temper very well, as it's not his own disciple who was harmed. The master throws a healing pill at Zhang Chu and demands he explain exactly what happened. Zhang Chu recounts the terrifying event, explaining that with a single flick of his finger, Luo severed his right leg. He adds that he felt an aura of the power of heaven and earth coming from him. The master is incredulous, shouting that it's impossible for a trash who got stuck in the beginning stage to wield such power. Shen Qingqing then adds a crucial piece of information. She says she heard that a few days ago, a genius was born on their land who triggered the heavenly order 9 times. She had wanted to investigate but was blocked by a powerful cultivator. She now believes the one who triggered it was Luo, who not only received the favor of heaven and earth, but also has a powerful backer. The Jang Jin sect master is struck by this revelation. He slaps himself hard across the face, realizing the magnitude of his mistake. He was dealing with someone protected by a great power. He slumps into his seat, utterly defeated, muttering that he is doomed. His disciples watch in confusion, wondering if their master's brain can pee too. The female companion, however, understands immediately. 9 times of heavenly order, she repeats in awe. She declares that the Jang Jin sect doesn't even have the right to polish such a person's shoes. Annoyed by the presence of the ugly old man, she resolves to use her own elegance and charms to make a deal with Luo. The master, now completely terrified, orders his elders to be gathered for a meeting to discuss how many resources they will give to the Mo sect to appease them. His disciples are shocked, but he silences them with a shout. Back at the pavilion, a notification sound dings in Luo's mind. His system informs him that the Mo sect's reputation value has increased to 501, with the fear of the Zheng Jin and Qiu Shui sects being a new addition. He muses that his warning was received, though he is disappointed that a small sect only yields such a small increase in reputation. As he contemplates finding better prey, he notices Luo Bing staring at him. He asks, "What's wrong? Are there flowers on my face?" She gets flustered and quickly looks away, saying she was just distracted. He finds her reaction odd, wondering why she can't be more direct. The narration explains that he could never understand the feelings of someone in a lower position, and that to some people they cherish their love like a thief. Meanwhile, back at the Mo sect's Danqing mountain, Lu Dongli is training her young disciple, Xiao Qiu. Dongli is distracted, practicing her forms while wondering what her brother and that sinful disciple, Luo Bing, are up to, vowing to rip them to shreds if they are fooling around. She reminds herself that as an elder she should be more concerned with the gathering of 3 sects. She sighs, wondering how the discussion is going before her thoughts turn back to Luo Bing, cursing the very existence of the creature called sister-in-law. Xiao Qiu interrupts her brooding, asking if she is circulating her aura correctly. Dongli tells her to do it again. After a few moments, Xiao Qiu complains that it's exhausting, but Dongli just tells her to do it. Annoyed, Dongli flicks her on the head, and Xiao Qiu pouts that her master was the one who was distracted. Dongli praises her disciples' quick learning, and Xiao Qiu, pleased, asks if she can now accompany the sect leader on trips like Luo Bing. Dongli's face darkens. Why are all of them trying to follow after him? She thinks, remembering how she used to stick to her brother all the time when she was younger. She tells Xiao Qiu that under normal circumstances, she's not allowed to go down the mountain. When Xiao Qiu asks why, Dongli explains it's because she is her closed-door disciple. When the girl asks why a closed-door disciple can't leave, Dongli gives the nonsensical answer, because there are no doors. After a moment of confusion, she scolds the girl for picking up her bad habits and tells her not to think of leaving until she is more skilled. Dongli then feels a pang of guilt for being too mean and decides to comfort the girl. However, Xiao Qiu suddenly looks determined, saying she now understands what the sect master meant about living in seclusion. Dongli is completely bewildered. Xiao Qiu quotes another of Lu Keo's sayings. It's all right to go into seclusion, but what's important is to let the people in the world know of one thing in the future. When the dragon in slumber awakes, it'll rile up thousands of mountains. Dongli, touched and a little disturbed, pulls the girl into a hug, saying it's best if she just spends the rest of her life there with her master. Just then, a streak of golden light flashes across the sky. Dongli looks up, wondering if her brother is back, but then realizes it's someone from the Sword Sect. A man named Chen Xio, a direct disciple of the Sword Sect, hovers arrogantly in the sky on his large, ornate sword. He is a high-status individual, and Dongli estimates his power is at the mid-stage of the 3rd rank, a level she believes she can still defeat. She decides to hide her own cultivation and test his real strength. Chen Xio remains in the air, waiting. He taps his foot impatiently and sends out a sword's cry, a wave of energy, to announce his presence and demand a welcome. Dongli finds his bragging similar to her brother's, but while her brother's feels deserved, this man's just makes her want to beat him up. Xiao Qiu agrees enthusiastically. Dongli decides they should go and meet their guest. Just as she's about to move, she sees her brother and Luo Bing appear below. Chen Xio, still in the sky, is fuming that no one has come to greet him. He spots Luo Bing and is immediately captivated by her beauty, thinking his trip has not been wasted. He then sees Lu Keoj standing beside her, and from his arrogant posture, Chen Xio is inspired, thinking he's learned a new way to act. He descends to greet the beautiful lady, but Lu Keoj steps in front of him, blocking his path. Chen Xio puffs out his chest and announces his long and impressive title. I am a direct disciple of the Sword Sect, the disciple of the second elder in the Sword Sect, a cultivator who has reached 2nd rank, great completion, Chen Xio. Lu Keoj simply replies, oh, and walks past him without a second glance. Chen Xio is left standing there, utterly ignored and seething with rage. He flies after them, blocking their path again and demanding to know who Lu Keoj is. Lu Keoj responds calmly, using a formal, superior form of I to introduce himself. I am the sect leader of Mo Sect, Lu Keoj. Chen Xio is incensed by the disrespect, thinking Lu Keoj is implying he stands above him. He demands to know if this is how the Mo Sect treats its guests. Lu Keoj asks, what did you call me? Chen Xio repeats, sect leader Lu. Lu Keoj then asks, then what is your identity? Chen Xio sputters, I am a direct disciple of the Sword Sect. Lu Keoj looks at him with disdain. A direct disciple is still only a disciple, he says. Is this disciple teaching me how to behave? Chen Xio is stunned, wondering if this man is a fool. As a direct disciple, his future is bright, yet this minor sect leader isn't even trying to suck up to him. He decides Lu Keoj must have something up his sleeve and resolves to find out what it is by using his divine consciousness to check his cultivation. A smirk crosses Lu Keoj's face. This brat wants to check my cultivation, huh? Go ahead then. Chen Xio's probe reveals Lu Keoj's cultivation is at the 1st rank, 5th heavenly layer. But as he reports this, Lu Keoj asks, oh, really? And with a whirl of energy, his aura spikes to the 1st rank, 6th heavenly layer. Before Chen Xio can react, it jumps again to the 7th heavenly layer. Chen Xio stares in utter shock, realizing with dawning horror that this man has hidden his real cultivation, and he can't see through him at all. A young woman with long, dark purple hair adorned with a delicate golden hairpiece and flowers stands on a balcony, her hands clasped before her as she gazes out with a serene, proud expression. She thinks to herself, brother has broken through again. A series of ethereal, overlapping images flash through her mind. Her brother, a figure radiating a bright, multicolored aura, another figure in white emanating a pure, glowing light, and a third in a more subdued golden, all representing his past achievements. She smiles softly, a tear welling in the corner of her eye, her heart filled with admiration. As expected, brother is still the same. She muses, recalling a memory of her younger self running towards him in a sun-drenched field. The brother that I always look up to. There's truly no one in the world who can compare to brother. Nearby, the subject of her admiration, a man with long, dark, purple hair and piercing green eyes, dressed in elegant black and gold robes, stands against a bright, sunlit sky, his hair flowing in the wind. His expression is cold and calculating as he has his own internal monologue. He observes a man in blue and white robes who has just arrived, his face a caricature of shock and disbelief. This guy, Chen Xio, the sect leader thinks, his gaze unwavering, was quite famous in my previous life. His mind delves deeper into his memories of this man, recalling him as nothing more than a fool, because, from the start to the end, he was just plot fodder. The image of Chen Xio's face contorted in an exaggerated, screaming shock fills his thoughts, a testament to his foolishness. The sect leader remembers Chen Xio's fatal flaw. He likes to brag too much, yet he was never good at pretending. It wasn't even cool when he was bragging. It only annoyed others and made them dislike him instead. A memory surfaces of Chen Xio in a past life, surrounded by disciples, boasting while they look on with disdain. He was nothing more than a sycophant. He's Yuyu's #1 kiss-ass and lackey. The sect leader recalls, picturing a comical scene of Chen Xio being led on a leash by a young woman. And this lackey who liked bragging and running his mouth always caused troubles and had to depend on Yuyu to save him. A chaotic image of Chen Xio being pummeled by a large, monstrous cat-like creature while the woman looks on, exasperated, flashes in his memory. The sect leader analyzes the character's role dispassionately. This guy's characterization may be really messy, but he's always able to push the plot to progress. In other words, he's the typical lousy teammate that drags you down. With this assessment, a new thought arises, his eyes narrowing slightly as he looks at the still-shocked Chen Xio. And so, do I want to waste these hard-earned experience points I gathered for 20 years just to put someone like him in place? He asks himself, a look of unwillingness crossing his face. He quickly dismisses the idea. It's not worth it, not worth it. This Tangshuan world is a game on how you manage your resources. I have to save up my experience points and use it on things like the sword intent at least. He reaffirms his strategy, his expression firm and resolved. He concludes his plan for the current situation. If so, then this will be good enough. I should have shaken him down to his core already. Forsaking a big bragging right for a small bragging right, it's not worth it for sure. It's easy to handle a character like him. A final, pragmatic thought crosses his mind as he continues to stare at the bewildered Chen Xio, who is still reeling from some unseen revelation. Furthermore, this brat is here to send us money. He can leave, but his money has to stay. The sect leader turns on his heel and calmly walks away, a green leaf-shaped boat floating beside him. Follow behind me, he commands without looking back. Chen Xio, flustered and stammering, quickly agrees. Why yes, sect leader Lu. As he follows, Chen Xio's eyes are drawn to the unique flying vessel. Huh. Isn't that the leaf boat? He mutters to himself, his gaze fixed on the intricate design. He recognizes it instantly. That's the unique flying treasure tool that belongs to Elder Ning. Doubt and speculation cloud his mind. Perhaps it's an imitation, but looking at it, it has to be a high-quality imitation. He thinks, but a deeper suspicion begins to form. Wait, stops in his tracks, his eyes widening as a new possibility dawns on him. He recalls a crucial piece of information. Didn't senior brother Yu and Elder Ning go down the mountain together? His mind races, connecting the dots. It can't be, right? Could he be the mysterious senior brother that senior brother Yu mentioned? His mind is cast back into a series of memories, illustrated in a hazy, sepia tone. He recalls his own journey. My trip out of the mountains this time, aside from menial errands like distributing resources to lower sects. There's another matter, which is to investigate the mysterious senior brother that senior brother Yu mentioned. He remembers Yu's own words, describing this person as the rival of his entire lifetime, a mysterious senior brother who he labeled as the biggest rival or competitor in his life. The memory is vivid, of Yu speaking with a solemn, determined expression. He remembers how talk of this rival vanished for years, only to resurface recently, after Yu and Elder Ning returned from their trip. He recalls Yu's pained confession. Although I had formed my sword intent this time, that senior brother had succeeded in the same thing. He was even miles ahead of me. This revelation had shaken Chen Xio. The extraordinary, mysterious senior brother has resurfaced in a more exaggerated way. That's the reason why I was rushing to investigate this matter. He recalls his frantic search for information, his desperation to uncover the truth. After much effort, he had a lead. After pestering senior brother Yu for a long time, I finally found out the general direction of this mysterious senior brother, which is the south area of Qingzhou, the Qinglong district. Now, Standing before sect leader Lu and the leaf boat, everything clicks into place with a jolt. But this is really obvious. It's very likely it's that guy, it's highly possible. He thinks, a powerful sense of certainty washing over him as he watches the sect leader flying ahead on the leaf boat. A greedy, determined look enters his eyes. No matter what, I have to get to the bottom of this. As long as I can find the mysterious senior brother, so that from now onwards, I'll be someone who shares the same little secret as senior brother Yu. His face breaks into a wide, toothy, and slightly unsettling grin as he imagines the prestige this secret will bring him. Tilde, just the thought of sharing a secret with senior brother Yu makes me a little excited, tilde, as he follows, lost in his triumphant thoughts. A young woman with dark hair and a green dress, one of the sect leader's companions, notices his odd behavior. She turns to her master and whispers, "Young lord, that person is using a really weird way to look at your backside. Let me cover you a little." She subtly moves to position herself between the sect leader and Chen Xio's strange, lingering gaze. The scene shifts, and the sect leader is now confronting a different woman, one with dark hair and a red dot on her forehead, her expression fearful. "If that lowly thing dares to act recklessly, I'll mince him into pieces," he says with cold fury. She nervously asks, Do you mean?" Her face is covered in a pixelated blur indicating a sensitive topic. The sect leader's face becomes a chibi-like mask of anger. "Shut your mouth. If you say another word, I'll kick you out of the sect," he threatens, his voice low and dangerous. The woman looks down, her thoughts racing. How can I think of something so weird like that, after all? The young lord's body is something I've secretly peeked at for so many years. No one can think of stealing it away. She resolves internally, her cheeks flushing as she glances at the sect leader's retreating back. Suddenly, the sect leader takes flight, leaping onto the back of a massive, dark-feathered bird with golden plumage on its wings and tail. He soars into the sky, leaving the others behind on the ground. From his high vantage point, he glances back down, a thoughtful look on his face. "It seems like it's not the time for us to meet yet. Since you've appeared in this district, I'm sure our paths will cross one day," he thinks to himself, speaking of some unseen adversary or future event. As he flies, the young girl who was with him earlier, who has cat-like ears, looks down at the rapidly shrinking figures below. She turns to her master and says with a serious expression, "Master, I'm betting it will be the head that lands first." The sect leader looks equally serious and replies, "I agree." In a completely different location, within the ornate halls of the Jang Jin sect, a group of elders is having a tense meeting. An elderly man with white hair and a purple robe slams his hand on the table. "All of you have been evading this matter, but there's no decision until now yet. How much are we really giving into Mo's sect?" he demands. Another elder, the one who seems to be in charge, strokes his long white beard and offers a solution. "However, I do have quite a plan. While giving him our resources to get on his good side, it won't let us lose too much either. Let's sacrifice a little on our side and personally send some good-looking disciples over to them. What do you think?" The other elders look at him in stunned silence, their faces comical masks of disbelief. "Are you serious?" one of them finally asks. Another chimes in, "If you are, then die on your own. Don't drag us along, thanks." The scene then cuts to a group of female disciples being briefed on the situation. A woman in a brown and orange robe explains the plan, ending with, "But well, men, there's no man who can't be dealt with by using the body. If there is, then we'll use 2 bodies. The disciples begin to chatter amongst themselves. "Then who are we choosing?" one asks. The leader responds, "An intimate task of utmost importance like this definitely requires a woman who is both refined inside and outside tilde." A particularly ambitious disciple with her hair in a bun steps forward. "Actually, I can volunteer. I'm really confident in the aspect of deepening intimacy. Besides, I have met him before," she declares eagerly. Her master, the woman in the brown robe, glares at her, thinking, "This damned girl, has she never thought of giving the sect leader me the chance? Such a dependable backing, she's trying to take it for herself. This is an act of deceiving her master and causing the downfall of our ancestors." The eager disciple, oblivious to her master's fury, strikes a dramatic pose under a sudden downpour of rain, her arms outstretched. "Master will definitely choose me, right? Come, let the storm rain on me and my body," she shouts to the heavens. Just then her master, who is standing under the eaves of a building, looks up in surprise. "Eh!" she exclaims as a glowing object flies towards her. It is a flying sword message. A flying sword message. She realizes, catching it in her hand, she examines the sword. Seeing the look of that sword, it has to be one of the intimate friends that Master has, the elder from one of the middle 100 sects. She thinks, a look of pleased surprise on her face. "Great, great, this came at a great time," she says, her previous anger forgotten. "My efforts on forming a friendship with him is not wasted. Hurry, we'll go discuss this matter with Jang Jin sect leader." The message delivers stunning news. The leaders of the Jang Jin sect and the Qiu Shui sect, a man and a woman, read the scroll together, their faces lighting up with greedy excitement. A disciple from the Sword sect, furthermore it's the direct disciple of the second elder, dropping by our sect for fun. This clearly shows that a great opportunity has come to us, they exclaim in unison. The male sect leader immediately addresses his assembled disciples. Attention, everyone! The matter of giving out our resources to most sect will be set aside for now. Go and look for this direct disciple from the Sword sect right away. No matter what tricks you have to use, find him at all costs. The female sect leader gives a similar command to her own disciples. All of you go look for him. No matter what, you have to become intimate friends with him. You are allowed to be forceful only under special circumstances. The female disciples erupt in excited chatter, their minds filled with dreams of power and status. The chance to rise has come, the direct disciple of the Sword sect. If I made someone like that my husband, wouldn't that mean I'd rise up in success? One muses. Another adds, I could be the elder's wife in the future. You foo-foo. I'm getting a little excited just imagining it. The women begin to playfully compete. Fellow sisters, there's only one of him out there and it's first come first served. One says, another counters, huff, as long as you're skilled anything would work. As long as I work hard, he'll always have to lean on the wall for support when he leaves home. Meanwhile, in the background, a group of male disciples looks on with skepticism. One sighs, do they really think men are that shallow? Another has a different strategy in mind. Once I found him, I'll ask to be sworn brothers first. Haven't you heard of the saying that women are like clothes, but brothers are like your hands and feet? Back at the Mo sect, there is an undercurrent of tension as the sect leader and his companions return, with Chen Xio trailing behind them, his face a mask of fury as he collapses to the ground in exhaustion and humiliation. How dare you, Mo sect? He seethes under his breath. Later, inside the sect's main hall, the sect leader sits at a table, gesturing for Chen Xio to be seated. Take your seats, everyone, he says coolly. Chen Xio sits down, his mind already working. She'll be the one to pour tea for me, such a close distance. I should be able to smell her scent, right? He thinks, anticipating a sign of respect. His face lights up with a creepy smile. MHM it really is. However, he's quickly disappointed. Why can't I smell her scent? He wonders, confused. He looks up and is shocked to see the female disciple standing a full 2 meters away, holding a long ladle to pour the tea, splashing it messily into his cup from a great distance. The other disciples watch, amused. One whispers, won't you leave that guy with a trauma? Another young disciple looks on with wide eyes. Senior sister's pouring tea posture is so weird. I want to learn it. Chen Xio sighs in defeat, trying to rationalize the strange behavior. That lady appears as pure as jade. I suppose that's how she treats other men too, right? I shouldn't overthink it. He tells himself. The disciple then places the cup down before him. Young lord, enjoy your tea, she says, her face impassive. The disrespect is palpable, and Chen Xio is horrified. Could it be my identity as the direct disciple of the Sword sect? The disciple of the second elder of the Sword sect, the future pillar of the Sword sects, is so insignificant. He thinks, his world crumbling as tears of humiliation stream down his face. The sect leader watches him, then lets out a series of coughs. Chen Xio looks up, startled. Is your throat not feeling well, sect leader Lu? He asks, trying to regain his composure. The conversation then shifts to a more serious topic. Chen Xio, putting on his hotshot mode persona, briefs the sect leader. Sect leader Lu, according to the information given by the Sword sect, this demon cultivator is at 2nd rank. Quite a number of deviant beasts follow it too, he explains, detailing the threat that has brought him here. The sect leader listens, but his reaction is not what Chen Xio expects. He looks down, a single tear of what appears to be disappointment rolling down his cheek. How weak. It's not that one, he says quietly, his thoughts on a far greater foe. He then looks at Chen Xio and offers some advice. Disciple, if you need any help from me, feel free to ask. He then adds a warning about the demon cultivators. Don't offer your heads and nurture them further. Chen Xio is confused by his reaction. Why does he look a little disappointed? He wonders. The sect leader, meanwhile, is lost in his own thoughts. I wonder if this demon cultivator can let me acquire information about that guy. Chen Xio, trying to salvage the situation in his own pride, makes a formal request. We've discovered the tracks of the demon cultivator. I hope sect leader Lu can accompany me to check it out, he says, bowing slightly. He has a dual motive, thinking, if I bring him along, I can take a look at his real strength. And if he truly is strong, then he must be that mysterious senior brother, as expected of me, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At that exact moment, a glowing golden hexagonal window appears in front of the sect leader, visible only to him. It reads, you have triggered the mission, Demon Cultivator's appearance. Do you want to accept it? Reward, 50,000 exp and 1 yellow-ranked item repair voucher. As I expected, I can trigger the mission, he thinks with a slight smile. He mentally accepts the quest. Mission accepted. Turning his attention back to the waiting Chen Xio, he gives his answer. Disciple, I agree to your request. Tomorrow I shall accompany you to kill that demon cultivator. Chen Xio bows, yes, sect leader Lu, while internally seething. Hold it in, Chen Xio, damn it, this guy really speaks so arrogantly. Later, the sect leader's purple-haired sister approaches him as he stands with his disciples. Brother, I forgot to ask you before, how did the gathering of the 3 sects go? She asks. The sect leader glances at the green-robed disciple who served the tea. Luo Bing, let your master know about it, he instructs. Luo Bing immediately launches into a ridiculously flattering and exaggerated account, clapping her hands for emphasis. It went down like this. Sect leader used a charming stance to stun the Shui sect and Jang Jin sect, as well as showing off the true strength of the Mo sect in front of them. It was truly like an immortal had descended to the mortal world. A true god he is tilde, the sect leader smiles to himself, thoroughly pleased. That mouth of hers is truly amazing. I feel really refreshed, he thinks. His sister Dongli, however, is lost in her own thoughts, her brow furrowed with worry. It's the 1875th prediction, Shui sect and Jang Jin sect. She mutters, running through calculations in her head. The sect leader notices her muttering. Elder Dongli, what are you mumbling over there? He asks. She jumps. Nothing, but her worries continue. In the thousands of estimates, I've determined that the Shui sect and Jang Jin sect won't possibly come over to cause any trouble anymore. I shouldn't need to worry. However, she turns to him with a serious expression. Brother, the trip down to get rid of the demon cultivator tomorrow, can I tag along? Demon cultivators are strong. I'm worried about brother. The young woman with purple hair and a green flower tucked behind her ear looks on with a worried expression. Her brow furrowed as she watches her brother, the sect leader with his long, dark purple hair and regal black and gold robes. She thinks to herself, her cheeks puffed out in a silent pout, wondering why her brother isn't saying anything and resolving to pull on his ears if he dares to disagree with her unspoken request. The sect leader, observing her concern, thinks about how this brat is worried for him, a small smile playing on his lips as he simply says, "Suit yourself." Ecstatic, the young woman throws her arms up in the air, shouting, "Yay!" As her brother muses internally that with his sister Dongli's personality, it would be useless to try and snatch a monster from her anyway. He further considers that if he can't beat their opponent, Chen Xio, he can always use his younger sister as a secret last resort, concluding that it's nice to have her around. Nearby, a woman with long black hair, adorned with pearls and dressed in a light green and white dress, watches them, thinking that with both the young lord and master facing dangers head-on, she cannot simply sit still. She steps forward, addressing the sect leader and her master, beginning to say, "Sect leader, master, I want to," but is immediately cut off by Dongli, who appears in front of her with a fierce expression, shouting not aloud, "Don't think about it." The woman tries to protest that she hasn't finished speaking, but Dongli repeats her refusal, accusing her of just wanting to cling to her brother again. The sect leader places a calming hand on the woman's head, patting her gently as he tells her not to go this time. He explains that demon cultivators are far scarier than she can imagine, and with her current cultivation, she would likely become a burden rather than a help, advising her to work hard on cultivating and catch up first. As she walks away dejectedly down a long, empty hall, the woman reflects on how she had only managed to catch up to the young lord because he hadn't broken through for so long. She worries that now he could break through again, and his speed of cultivation is abnormally fast. She fears that if the gap between them grows, she will truly become a burden, just as her master said. Standing alone, looking out over the sect, she resolves to work hard, to stand beside the young lord, and to become someone he needs. Later that night, under a full moon, the sect leader is meditating, surrounded by a swirling vortex of teal spiritual energy as experience points flash around him. Suddenly, the immense power causes him to spurt a mouthful of blood, the pain evident on his face as he grimaces. He laments that while others' cultivation requires money and resources, it seems to be actively causing his death, noting how merciless his pain meditation is. As he sits, a wispy, purple, cat-like spirit floats into the room. He recognizes it as the spirit he gave offerings to at the graveyard and asks if it needs anything. The spirit floats before him and points a spectral limb towards the direction of Chen Xio's house. It then transforms, its ethereal body morphing into the shape of a sharp blade before making a swift, cutting motion through the air. The sect leader watching this display asks with a shocked expression if it wants him to kill him. The spirit quickly shakes its head, then points at itself before pointing towards the house again. The sect leader's eyes widen in understanding as he realizes what it truly wants. He asks the spirit what it wants with the demon cultivator and then clarifies, "You want the corpse." The spirit doesn't respond, but instead offers him a gift A glowing, ornate jade scroll materializes and floats towards him. The sect leader eagerly snatches it from the air, a wide, greedy smile on his face as he exclaims, "Give it to me." Looking at the scroll, he identifies it as the Autumn Cicada Sword, a blue-rank, lower-tier secret sword skill that can only be found in middle-ranked sects. He realizes the scroll's value far exceeds the life of a second-ranked demon cultivator and accepts the task, noting that with the system's reward for the mission as well, he'll be killing 3 birds with 1 stone. He recalls his past life, where he spent a huge sum to acquire a blue-rank middle-tier skill, Scaled Dragon Entering the Sea, a powerful shooting skill. He muses on what the Autumn Cicada might do before telling the spirit he'll accept the job, thinking to himself that it's definitely not because of the blue-ranked sword skill. The spirit nods and disappears, leaving the sect leader to wonder what other treasures it might possess. He then calls out to the silent night, asking the departed spirit what it wants the corpse for, but receives only silence in return, causing him to sigh at being used like a tool. The next morning, Chen Xio, the disciple in blue and white robes, stands outside his door, mockingly telling Luo Bing it's time for him to be on his way. The sect leader, seated inside amidst a green aura, retorts, asking if Chen Xio really wants his brother to be on his way to death by speaking so condescendingly. Chen Xio laughs, saying he just wanted to experience being the villain for a bit. The sect leader emerges from his room, stating he's done preparing. Danqing appears, proudly declaring that everything is ready, from sleeping items to secret weapons and escape puppets. Her brother sighs, thinking his younger sister is too dependable, as she urges him to hurry and call for the sword sect disciple so they can set off. The sect leader agrees, and using his spiritual energy, sends his voice echoing across the mountains, calling for that disciple to gather at the mountain entrance. The call reverberates everywhere, waking a sleeping Chen Xio, who is instantly infuriated. He storms out, shouting with veins popping on his forehead, "My name is Chen Xio. I'm not called that disciple." At the grand, golden-detailed entrance gate to the Mo sect, the sect leader looks at the aging structure and remarks that he almost forgot their sect used to have a protection array, though it's now old and in need of repairs. His sister Danqing reassures him, "Brother, don't worry. I'm already in the midst of learning about arrays. Someday, I'll restore this ink painting protection array." The sect leader reflects that his sister has level 9 in all her attribute stats, allowing her to learn anything easily, but laments their poverty which prevents him from getting her practice materials. He pats her head, telling her that even though he knows her motive is to play around more freely, it still makes him happy to hear her say that, and he promises to find a way to get money for her. Danqing looks up at her brother, touched by his words. The sect leader internally wishes for the noob players to arrive sooner, thinking of them as the best tools and workers to be taken advantage of. Just then, Chen Xio arrives, attempting to reintroduce himself, but the sect leader cuts him off, stating that since that disciple has arrived, they can set out. Chen Xio scoffs, declaring that they wouldn't know where the demon cultivator is without him. He dramatically holds up a glowing, pulsating red artifact, a blood tool used for tracking, and prepares to use it. The sect leader casually remarks that he knows all about it, having seen them in live streams, which infuriates Chen Xio, who feels he's being embarrassed at every turn. Danqing asks her brother how he knows about such things, and he explains it's his first time seeing one in real life, but he's seen special people use them for special purposes in live streams before. Suddenly, the blood tool in Chen Xio's hand starts vibrating violently, indicating a reaction. He announces they're not far from the owner of the blood and urges them to hurry. As they run, Danqing asks what other special uses the tool has, and her brother, after a moment's hesitation, jokes that it's perfect for crushing garlic into a paste. He silently scolds himself for saying too much and potentially tainting a child. Danqing simply replies, "I see." The tool's vibrations intensify, leading them to the edge of a vast, crimson-colored forest. Chen Xio identifies it as the Forest of Flames. Danqing recalls that her brother acquired marrow-cleansing grass here after killing a deviant beast and warns him that the forest hides many beasts, meaning the demon cultivator must be even stronger. But the sect leader is unafraid, a predatory grin on his face as he declares they'll go down and give the demon cultivator a taste of a master player's broken skull. Danqing sighs, thinking that as expected, her brother isn't afraid at all. Chen Xio, watching the sect leader, is impressed by his fearlessness in the face of a forest teeming with deviant beasts, seeing it as a great spot to gain experience and resolving to be just as fearless. Upon entering the fiery forest, Chen Xio takes the lead, the blood tool vibrating violently as he senses they are extremely close. The sect leader follows, casually remarking that he wants to see if the tool would fly away from the vibrations if he used it to gut the demon's neck. Dongli trails behind, lamenting that if her sect had such a tool, she might have been able to track down her parents' killer. Chen Xio finds a spot and tells them to hide their Kai aura to prepare for a sneak attack. He and Dongli conceal themselves in the undergrowth, but the sect leader calmly tells them not to bother. Chen Xio asks why he's stopping them when a sneak attack could ensure victory, but the sect leader simply states, "Because we're already exposed." In the next instant, a massive scorpion-tailed tiger and a ferocious dog with black wings burst from the trees and lunge at them. Faced with the roaring deviant beasts, the sect leader coolly says, "So what? Cut them down." He leaps into action, a blur of motion as he charges the black-winged dog, shouting that he's going to smash open its head. Inspired, Chen Xio steels himself, thinking that as a sword cultivator he cannot show fear, and declares that he will guard the sect leader's back. The sect leader silently appraises him, thinking that the brat barely passes. As he engages the winged dog, he finds his attacks aren't doing much damage and realizes he'll need to use his sword intent, especially since the demon cultivator is likely hiding and waiting for an opportunity to strike. Dongli observes this from the side, noting that her brother is finally using his sword intent and should have done so from the start, comparing his cautiousness to using a nuclear bomb to kill an ant. A powerful, dark aura erupts from the sect leader, his sword intent taking a visible, menacing form. Chen Xio is completely thunderstruck, recognizing the formed sword intent as a sign of a peerless genius, far beyond his senior brother Yu. He concludes that Luo Bing must be the legendary peerless sword user, a devil incarnate. Lost in this shocking revelation, Chen Xio stands frozen. The winged dog, seeing an opportunity, lunges at the distracted disciple. Just as its claws are about to strike, the sect leader appears in a flash of brilliant blue light, unleashing a powerful sword strike that obliterates the beast. He lands and tells the stunned Chen Xio that one should never let their guard down in front of enemies. From the shadows, a sinister laugh echoes as the demon cultivator, Liu Ling, finally reveals himself, accompanied by a hulking iron rhinoceros. He arrogantly mocks the mere first-ranked cultivator for daring to kill his pet in front of him. A cloaked, shadowy figure stands before a monstrous winged beast, a deviant creature known as the black-winged dog. With a sinister smile barely visible in the darkness, the villain points a commanding finger, urging his pet forward. He declares his true focus is not the beast's next meal, but the defiant direct disciple of the sword sect. The disciple, a proud young man in elegant blue and white robes, scoffs at this arrogance. He questions the villain's dismissal of sect leader Lu as mere trash who has yet to enter the second rank, his loyalty burning fiercely in his eyes. He passionately retorts that sect leader Lu's power cannot be measured by such simplistic terms. This bold declaration earns him the amusing title of the second-best boaster in Tian Xuan world from the onlookers. Luo Bing's sister, a petite girl with flowing purple hair, remarks with a smile that the disciple has clearly been influenced by her brother's confident demeanor. The disciple, meanwhile, prepares to face the hulking beast, resolving to use a powerful skill that will completely drain his mana. He unleashes his ink splash technique, a breathtaking storm of ethereal purple energy blades, shaped like masterful calligraphy strokes, erupts from his position and surges toward the beast. The very air seems to warp and glitter with a galaxy of spiritual particles caught in the wake of the attack. The cloaked villain watches in stunned disbelief as his powerful, second-ranked black dog is engulfed and seemingly defeated by the disciple's all-out assault. The disciple, though exhausted and sweating, stands his ground and proudly reaffirms his unwavering faith in his leader, proclaiming that sect leader Lu is destined to one day be the second strongest in the world. He then adds a surprising caveat, declaring that the top spot is reserved for his senior brother, Yu. At that very moment, a translucent blue system window materializes in Luo Bing's field of vision. A notification announces the successful kill of the black-winged dog beast, rewarding him with a massive 20,000 experience points. His experience bar fills instantly, and his level indicator flashes from 17 to 18. A smirk plays on Luo Bing's lips as he notes the efficiency of gaining 20,000 experience for a single dog when leveling only required 18,000. A warm, golden aura washes over him, replenishing his health and mana to their absolute peak. He exhales, savoring the invigorating feeling of being at full power. His sister and the disciple look on in awe, with the disciple exclaiming that sect leader Lu has achieved another breakthrough. The sister reflects on the increasing frequency of her brother's power-ups, a mix of admiration and a faint, wistful sadness on her face. She muses that if he continues at this rate, she might be able to stay safely in his shadow forever, a thought that brings a delicate blush to her cheeks as she imagines an eternity by his side. This sweet daydream is humorously shattered by the intrusive thought of a potential rival for her brother's affection, and she cries out in mock despair, lamenting the very existence of sisters-in-law. The disciple, completely oblivious to her inner turmoil, comes to his own conclusion, theorizing that sect leader Lu must have suppressed his own power to the 8th heavenly layer as a method of self-draining, by challenging the demon cultivator at that specific rank. The cloaked villain, having recovered from the loss of his beast, lets out a chilling laugh. He dismisses their rankings and declares his intention to absorb both of them into himself. Lu Kog, with an air of profound boredom, addresses the villain directly, calling him an ugly person hiding in a cloak who's too scared to show your face. The taunt hits its mark, and the villain shrieks in rage. Lu Kog coolly continues to provoke him, inviting the ugly villain to come and kill him, this self-proclaimed weak fly. Enraged beyond reason, the villain summons a new beast, a colossal iron rhinoceros with glowing crimson eyes, and commands it to attack. As the rhinoceros charges, the disciple leaps into action, a vortex of blue energy swirling around him. He shouts that the villain's foul beasts have no right to even approach sect leader Lu. He unleashes a powerful wave of icy spiritual energy, clashing with the charging monstrosity. After the attack, he pants, admitting to himself that the single skill drained all his spiritual energy. He feels a sense of relief that he managed to direct his nervous sweat to his back, hiding his apprehension from his revered sect leader. Lu Kog's sister watches this with a knowing smile, recognizing the trick. She notes that the disciple is using spiritual energy to hide his sweat, just as her brother uses a wind technique to maintain his effortlessly cool facade. She concludes that the disciple has truly learned the essence of her brother's style. The cloaked villain screams at his faltering iron rhinoceros, accusing it of breaking its promise to reach the peak of demonic cultivation with him. In a twisted act of mourning and empowerment, he decides to absorb the beast's power, telling it to rest in peace and vowing revenge. He begins a dark ritual, pulling the demonic crystal from his fallen beast to consume it. The villain's body is racked with violent red and black energy as he powers up, vowing to sacrifice an entire village as an offering to his fallen pet after he deals with the heroes. While the villain is engrossed in this grotesque transformation, Lu Kog acts. With a casual flick of his wrist, he uses telekinesis to snatch the glowing red demonic crystal right out of the villain's hands. The disciple marvels at this display of effortless power. The villain can only stare in disbelief, his ritual interrupted. He screams for the crystal back, but Lu Kog coolly retorts that soon, the villain's entire body will belong to him anyway. The scene is so bizarre that Lu's sister comments on the wild nature of demonic cultivators, who mourn their pets while cannibalizing them for power. She also notes with pride her brother's ever-increasing control. The villain, in a final, desperate act, unleashes a massive shockwave of dark purple energy. He roars, awakening every beast within the forest of flames. The ground trembles as countless pairs of glowing red eyes ignite in the surrounding darkness. Lu's sister's expression turns grave. They are about to face a horde. She resolves to unleash her own hidden power, prioritizing her brother's safety above all else. The villain gloats about his power, threatening to unleash his new army on the nearby villages. In that moment of hubris, Lu Kog appears directly in front of him in a blur of motion. Lu calmly points out the villain's tactical error. With both hands busy controlling the beast horde, he has left himself completely defenseless. Terror dawns on the villain's face as Lu Kog's hand closes around his throat. All arrogance vanishes, replaced by desperate pleading. He begs for his life, swearing he will disappear and never harm anyone again. Lu Kog listens, his face an unreadable mask. He repeats the villain's promise, anymore, then speaks of a past tragedy of an orphaned child and lives that can never be returned, making it clear that forgiveness is not an option. He states that the victims have no future, and with a final, swift motion, he executes the villain. As the villain's body fades to dust, the disciple stares, stunned. He thinks about how close he was to drawing his own sword, and he ponders the immense power he just witnessed, a power that reminded him of his own master. He concocts a wild theory that a secret, powerful cultivator must be guarding sect leader Lu. He then dismisses his own theory, deciding that someone as strong as Lu wouldn't need a guardian. A new, even more fantastic idea strikes him. Lu wasn't being protected. He was protecting them. He convinces himself that the sect leader had secretly arranged for a hidden protector to ensure his safety. While the disciple is lost in his elaborate fantasy, Lu Kog is interacting with his system interface. He accepts the mission rewards for killing the demonic beast. He receives 50,000 experience points, a yellow-ranked treasure voucher, and another 35,000 experience from the villain's loot. He also discovers a peculiar fragmented token, a special mission item. The system explains that finding a second one will unlock a hidden mission. Intrigued, Luo Bing instructs his sister Dong Lai to clean up the battlefield. The disciple, Chen Xio, finally snaps back to reality and rushes over to thank Lu, who dismisses him curtly. Chen Xio then asks about the demonic beast's corpse for his report. Lu allows him to take the head but keeps the rest. The disciple is overcome with gratitude and admiration, his hero worship growing stronger as he remembers that Lu is the mysterious senior brother his own idol Yu had spoken of. He is so lost in happy thoughts that he grins foolishly. Lu hands him the beast's head and tells him to leave, but the disciple insists on staying to ask more questions. Lu reluctantly agrees to talk as they walk. The disciple asks why Lu never unsheathed his true sword during the entire battle. Against the backdrop of the setting sun, Luo Bing delivers an impossibly cool reply. Because he's not worthy of it. The words leave the disciple utterly starstruck. He is in awe of such profound confidence, declaring that all cultivators should aspire to carry themselves like sect leader Lu. Dong Lai watches this display and sighs, noting that yet another person has fallen under her brother's charismatic influence. She then has a quiet moment, speaking to her spiritual weapon, which she has named Longevity, a name her brother gave her that symbolizes their bond and her wish for them to have a long life together. Upon their return, they are met by members of two other sects, who are shocked to see a revered direct disciple of the Sword Sect standing humbly behind Luo Bing. They immediately realize that Lu's background is far more formidable than they had assumed. The purpose of their visit is the decennial negotiation of resources. Chen Xio, eager to prove his worth, volunteers to handle the negotiations, boasting of his experience in the Sword Sect. Luo Bing agrees, patting him on the shoulder and thinking how useful his new tool is becoming. The disciple is thrilled by this perceived sign of acknowledgement, his mind already calculating how successfully handling this will bring him closer to both sect leader Lu and senior brother Yu. That night, Luo Bing meets with a mysterious ghost-like entity to claim another reward, presenting the beast's corpse. He examines a scroll he acquired, a skill called Autumn Cicada, and decides to give it to his sister, little Lizzie, whom he cheekily calls a human photocopier for her ability to learn and teach skills. The spirit entity asks why he wanted the corpse. In response, Luo Bing presents the fragmented token he found. The spirit slaps his hand, and the token shatters, revealing a solid black crest marked with a purple crescent moon. It is a purple moon badge. Luo Bing is visibly shaken, recognizing the symbol of the Purple Moon Association, the group connected to his parents' murderers. He asks the spirit if the man he killed was a member. The spirit communicates that he was not a full member. One needs 2 badges for that. The man was merely a backup member, with status and power in the association being determined by the number of badges one holds. This gives Luo Bing a vital clue in his quest for revenge. He tries to ask the spirit for more information, but the entity begins to malfunction. Luo Bing sighs, realizing he cannot rely on the unstable spirit, but he recalls a memory from his past life. A certain guild that was also relentlessly hunting the Purple Moon Association, giving him a new, dangerous path to follow. A man with long, flowing dark hair and ornate golden-trimmed purple robes stands in a cosmic void, surrounded by twinkling stars and ethereal pink clouds, his expression one of nostalgic recollection as he recounts a past glory. He speaks of a renowned and wealthy guild, where every member was formidable, their pride tied to their vast riches. But in his memories, he sees himself as a younger man, standing alone against their entire golden-clad legion, an army of warriors in opulent armor, their faces a mixture of shock and awe. He remembers the fiery confrontation, a cataclysm of golden energy and swirling flames as he single-handedly faced their collective might. The battle was immense, a clash of power that lit up the heavens, but ultimately they were all defeated by his overwhelming strength. He recalls with a faint smile the words he once told them, a taunt that stunned them into silence. "Don't use your whole family's assets to challenge my allowance." It was a time when he felt unmatched under the heavens, a peak of power and confidence. Sighing, he concludes his tale, admitting that this is all he can recall about the Purple Moon Association from his past. A small, glowing, fairy-like creature with delicate wings floats before him, interrupting his reverie with a pointed question, reminding him of the main point of their discussion, asking what he knows about the Purple Moon Association itself. The man, Luo Bing, looks down at the glowing badge in his hand, a crescent moon emblem, and then to the fairy, a slight smirk playing on his lips. He asks if this is what she truly wanted. He agrees to give it to her but adds a condition. He might need the item in the future, and when that time comes, she must lend it back to him without question. The fairy, still floating before him, seems to question the item's worth, asking what's so good about the purple moon badge. Luo Bing then poses a question of his own, his expression turning more serious as he inquires if she knows where else he might acquire another purple moon badge. He explains his purpose, revealing that to unlock a hidden mission, he requires 2 such badges, and any clue to finding another would be immensely helpful. The fairy looks back at him quizzically, and he asks why she is looking at him in such a way. A sudden realization seems to dawn on her as she looks at him with wide, curious eyes, floating amidst a swirling vortex of purple energy. She asks if he is like her, seeking revenge against the Purple Moon Association. He simply states that he has lost his memory, which leads her to a new, incorrect conclusion. She excitedly suggests that he must have realized he possesses a large number of these badges, and now wants her help in recovering his lost memories. She muses aloud that she is fortunate to understand him. Otherwise, she might have guessed he was the secret leader of the Purple Moon Association, distributing the badges himself. She further elaborates on her thoughts, noting that if the system hadn't labeled him with a red name, a clear indicator of some antagonistic status, she might have genuinely guessed wrongly about his intentions and identity. Luo Bing's expression softens slightly as he offers her a piece of reassurance. He tells her not to worry, clarifying that his parents' deaths had nothing to do with her. He knows she had limitations placed upon her and was physically incapable of saving them, absolving her of any guilt she might feel. He then makes a pact with her, promising to help her keep an eye out for any news regarding the Purple Moon Association, reasoning that helping her is, in turn, helping himself. The fairy creature, however, reinterprets his offer with a translation of her own, a thought bubble showing what she thinks he's really saying. She perceives his offer as a roundabout way of getting her to do his bidding, recalling that she was the one who asked him to retrieve a corpse to check for badges, only for the situation to be reversed, with him now asking her for badges instead. She then voices her request aloud, asking him to lend her a few more of the badges because she needs them, promising in return to find useful news about the association and share it with him immediately. Luo Bing observes her, a thought bubble revealing his internal monologue. It seems like she may be stupid, but it's not without any limits. Seeing her determination, he relents. Her own internal thought bubble translates his silent acquiescence into a simple question. How many do you need? Just take it then. She replies that 2 will be enough. As soon as the 2 badges are brought together, a brilliant golden light erupts, forming a hexagonal system interface before Luo Bing. A message appears stating, "You have fulfilled the hidden plot's requirement. Will you investigate it further?" Without hesitation, Luo Bing confirms his choice with a simple, decisive yes. The system responds with a grand display of golden light and energy, prompting him to comment on its impressive front. He wonders aloud if the message it's about to deliver is as powerful as its presentation. A panel of glowing golden text materializes in the cosmic void before him, providing information about the Purple Moon Association. It describes them as a mysterious demonic cultivation association, one of the 3 biggest of its kind, with many members who mostly roam around Qingzhou, seemingly planning something significant. It also reveals the members' deep, passionate respect for the association and their belief that by consuming the Purple Moon they can acquire boundless power. Luo Bing stares at the text, his expression one of disappointment and slight annoyance. "That's it?" he asks the empty void. "There's nothing else? This is it?" Seeing the limited information, he resigns himself to his own analysis. He theorizes that the Purple Moon must symbolize something that, once consumed, makes one stronger. He finds this fits the typical style of demonic cultivators. They admire an object of power, yet their ultimate desire is to consume it and make its strength their own. Just as he is lost in thought, another system notification appears, a golden panel of light flaring to life. It informs him that to unlock more hidden plots, it will require 10 Purple Moon badges. This revelation infuriates him. He realizes that the initial 2 badges were merely an entrance fee, like paying cover to get into a bar. If he wants to truly participate and have fun, he needs to spend more, otherwise he's just a spectator. The little fairy creature, now surrounded by a swirling aura of purple energy, seems to be taking several badges from him, prompting a thought bubble from him expressing his frustration. "Why are you taking that many?" In response, the fairy looks indignant, her own thought bubble projecting her retort. She calls him stingy, reminding him that when she gave him her blood essence, she didn't haggle or complain. She declares with a huff that once she succeeds, she won't be as stingy as he is and will definitely share whatever she gains. As she holds the 10 badges, a new system prompt appears, glowing with golden light. You have reached the requirements. Do you wish to read it? Luo Bing once again answers yes. The system then reveals the next piece of crucial information. The Purple Moon Association will conduct a small gathering among its members in Qingzhou every 3 years. The next one is scheduled for Dongzhai of the next year. The system promises he will receive one of the location coordinates and advises him to pay attention. Contemplating this new timeline, Luo Bing recognizes that an opportunity has presented itself. He sees these demonic cultivators as noob players and knows he has time to grow stronger before their gathering. He is aware that the game is getting closer to the influx of new players, and he reflects on what might happen when that time comes. He envisions a scenario where, if he isn't strong enough, he'll be swarmed by other players, his handsome appearance making him a target for mockery and defeat, effectively serving himself up on a plate. Shaken from his thoughts, he remembers the fairy creature floating nearby, realizing he still needs to get her off his back by revealing some supposed secrets. He strikes a pose, preparing to use a technique he mentally dubs as learned from Kong Yiji's platoon technique, a method of divination so profound even a blind fortune teller would praise it. With a flourish, he brings his hands together, a golden glowing Bagua symbol appearing between his palms as he prepares to calculate a prophecy. He dramatically announces that he has calculated it, then pauses with a smug HMPH. With an air of mystique, he declares that heaven's secrets must not be divulged, leaving the fairy in suspense. A torrent of question marks erupts from the fairy creature, showing her complete and utter confusion at his vague and unhelpful prophecy. Finally, her patience breaks, and she unleashes a furious wave of energy, her internal monologue screaming scram over and over again, a testament to her frustration with his theatrics. She departs in a huff, leaving Luo Bing alone. As he watches her go, he can't help but be impressed by his own performance, thinking to himself how impressive his front system is. He then privately reflects on the real information he's gained. He needs to depend on his own analysis. The purple moon must symbolize something that, when consumed, grants greater strength. He has a full year until the gathering on Dongzhai, giving him precious time to prepare. He understands he must use this remaining time to grow in power before the new players join the world. As the fairy creature finally flies, leaving a trail of purple light, he turns away with a sigh. She is sulking, and he knows it, but he calls after her. Once I've thought it over, I'll tell you the details, okay? He gives a cheerful wave, saying he'll be leaving first then. Though she appears worried, he admits to himself that he didn't actually understand what she was trying to say this time. He finds himself in a quiet room, a glowing golden orb of energy floating before him, and muses that this place is a little far. But then a grim determination settles on his face as he adds, "But the road to killing is never too far." He stands by a window, looking out at a snowy landscape, thinking about the future. Dongzhai of next year is still far away, but Dongzhai of this year is approaching, which marks his sister Little Lizzie's birthday. He sits in quiet contemplation, a wisp of smoke curling from his lips as he considers his training. He believes that by getting used to feeling pain, he will become more resistant to being hit in the future, a state of invulnerability that feels unparalleled just thinking about it. His thoughts are interrupted by a soft voice calling his name. He turns to see his sister, Dongli, now a young woman dressed in a beautiful red and white winter outfit. He greets her, noting that it's another year of Dongzhai, and she is now another year older. He reflects that this is something their father used to say, but now the responsibility falls to him. He playfully chides her for her light clothing, warning that she might freeze if she goes down the mountains dressed like that. She scoffs, puffing out her chest and declaring that of course she'll wear more, pulling a thicker cloak around herself. With their preparations made, he announces that it's time to go, as this year's mortal transforming day should be experienced well. A text box explains this tradition, a day when cultivators seal their powers to experience mortal life, which their family chose to celebrate on Dongli's birthday. They arrive at the Mo Sect's estate in Ko Lai district, which has been uninhabited for a year and is covered in a thick layer of dust. They agree to clean it up slowly. As Dongli dusts, her brother tells her not to move. He gently points out that her nose is covered in dust, which she hadn't noticed. He then playfully wipes it, leaving a smear of dirt across her face. She looks in a mirror, sees her smudged face, and erupts in mock anger, chasing after him and shouting that she's going to kill him while he laughs and runs away, teasing her. Later, the anger has subsided, replaced by the comforting aroma of cooking. He tells her the noodles are almost ready, and she inhales deeply, admitting the smell is so good she can't control herself. They sit together in the falling snow, sharing a warm meal. He wistfully remarks that if their father were still alive, he would say that the hustle and bustle of the world is the most comforting thing to a mortal's heart. She continues the thought, adding that he would also say that no matter how noble one's dreams are, they will ultimately return to the simplicity of life. They both sigh, sharing a moment of remembrance. He then presents her with a small gift, a warm pastry he bought for her when he went to get salt, admitting that it wasn't on the way, but he wanted to get it for her anyway. She thanks him with a bright, happy smile. He looks at his sister, who is no longer a child, and thinks to himself that he almost forgot she's all grown up now. If he pats her head like he used to, she would probably get mad. Yet, despite his thoughts, he can't resist. As she eats, he gently pats her head, and she hums in contentment, a fond smile on her face. The scene shifts to a memory of their family when they were children. Their father is saying that the hustle and bustle of the world is the most comforting to mortals' hearts, and that no matter how noble one's dreams are, one will ultimately return to the simplicity of life. A young Luo Bing complains that his father is always stealing his thunder, while his father laughs, asking if it's not because he resembles him so much. A tiny Dongli cheekily steals an egg from her brother's bowl while he's distracted, leading to a playful squabble. This warm memory of his happy family plays in his mind as he sits with his now grown-up sister. He thinks about how Dongli is an adult now and he has to consider her feelings, but the temptation is too great. He reaches over and gently pinches her cheek. He calls her name, Dongli. She looks up from her noodles, slurping them, and he wishes her a happy birthday. She smiles warmly, thanking him. In that quiet moment, he makes a silent vow that he will definitely take revenge for their parents. The next day, as they walk back through the snow-covered mountains, he thinks about how Dongzhai next year will not be as peaceful as this one. He turns to his sister and asks her to accompany him to a place during Dongzhai next year. She replies that she won't go if it's too far, preferring to stay on the mountain and cultivate. He looks at her with a deadly serious expression and says, "I'll bring you to kill." Her eyes widen in shock, but after a moment of silence, she simply replies, "Okay." He asks her if she's scared, warning that they might not survive. She looks at him with unwavering trust and says she's not afraid as long as he is there. Determined, he tells her they must hurry as there is much to do. They need to increase their strength and expand their sect, because a new wave of disciples will be coming soon, referring to the impending beta test of the Tianquan world, which is only 250 days away. Meanwhile, back at the Sword Sect, a young man named Chen Xio is speaking with a woman, both complaining that they don't know where sect leader Lu went. Chen Xio is particularly frustrated, as he needed to confirm one last thing with him to be 100% sure that Luo Bing is the mysterious senior brother he's been looking for. Suddenly, he spots Luo Bing and Dongli in the distance and rushes towards them, seeing his chance. He calls out a farewell, and Luo Bing dismisses him, telling him to leave quickly. As he turns to leave, Chen Xio makes one last attempt to test him, asking if sect leader Lu needs him to greet Elder Ning and senior brother Yu for him. He thinks to himself that if Luo Bing admits to knowing them, it must be him. Luo Bing sees through the boy's ploy. Realizing that his sect's reputation value is currently stuck, he decides that exposing a little bit about himself to gain favor and reputation from the powerful sword sect isn't a bad idea. He confirms his connection, but in a clever way. He tells Chen Xio to help him greet Aunt Ning, and then dismissively adds, Yu is my junior brother. Why would a senior brother greet a junior? This is all the confirmation Chen Xio needs. He is ecstatic, realizing it really is him. Though he didn't explicitly mention Yu by name in the positive, he didn't deny knowing him. As Chen Xio flies away on his sword, overjoyed, Dongli asks her brother what he's looking at. Luo Bing simply replies, a flying advertising poster. Flying through the clouds, Chen Xio pieces it all together. Sect leader Lu didn't admit to knowing Yu, and Yu never mentioned Luo Bing's name. He concludes they must be hiding their friendship and rivalry, planning a dramatic reveal that will shake the entire world. He vows to spread the legend of the mysterious senior brother far and wide, but to keep sect leader Lu's involvement a complete secret. A secret only between him, Luo Bing, and Yu. Back at his sect, Luo Bing watches his reputation value slowly tick up by 1 point every few days. A week after Chen Xio left, he wonders why the tool man hasn't returned to the sword sect yet. Half a month later, the reputation gain stops, and he grows annoyed, muttering that the sword sect needs to improve how they train their disciples, and vowing to smack Chen Xio on the head the next time they meet. A month after Chen Xio's departure at the sword sect, Yu is listening to the wild stories being spread about a mysterious senior brother Keoj who has broken through cultivation realms at an incredible speed. He becomes deeply agitated, realizing that at this rate, it's only a matter of time before this person surpasses him, and he'll be left behind like a child. Overwhelmed by this new rivalry, he suddenly declares to Chen Xio that he has had a new realization and must immediately enter closed cultivation. He flies off, leaving a bewildered Chen Xio behind. Chen Xio muses on the jealousy that the peerless sword entity inspires, able to have a realization at any moment. But he is on his way to a class, ready to continue spreading the legend of the mysterious senior brother, all while carefully guarding his true identity, vowing that he, Chen Xio, won't utter the name of sect leader Lu even until death. Time passes and spring arrives. In Lu Keo's heart, Chen Xio has thoroughly died, meaning the reputation gain has completely stopped. He realizes he must think of a different way to expand his sect and attract the new players who will soon be arriving. The sect leader stands on a balcony overlooking the vast, misty mountains, his long dark hair flowing behind him, clad in intricate black and gold robes as he contemplates the state of his sect. He muses that new players always prioritize strength, and a small sect like his with only a few disciples would normally be overlooked, even by his past self. His gaze falls upon one of his disciples, a beautiful woman with elaborate hair ornaments, who notices him looking and blushes, thinking to herself, "Sect leader is sneaking glances at me." The sect leader, however, is lost in thought, realizing that to expand his sect, he can't just gather a bunch of old perverts. He needs skilled and professional players to secure a future for his people. This train of thought leads him to reminisce about his past, a vision of a powerful, armored figure with crimson hair appearing behind him, and he wonders about a master he once had, questioning if their paths will cross again in this new life. A flashback shows a tender moment, a woman with silver hair held closely by him as she asks if he truly likes his master. He recalls raising his favorability with his master to the maximum in his past life, to the point where the Cold War god actually confessed to him. Shaking his head to clear the memories, he decides to stop thinking about her, fearing he won't be able to resist searching for her if he dwells on it. Turning his attention to more immediate matters, he decides to check on the disciples who are out of the mountain, wondering why they haven't returned yet, leaving the sect so empty. Just as he thinks this, a deep, resonant sound echoes through the mountains, the dong of a massive bell. His eyes widen in surprise and recognition. It's the Wanmin bell, an emergency signal. His surprise quickly turns into a smirk of eager anticipation. He clenches his fist, a grin spreading across his face as he realizes that after so many chapters, he finally has a chance to show off his power again. The narrative explains the origin of the Wanmin bell, a massive bronze bell placed at the mountain gates since the founding of the Mo sect. There are 301 such bells throughout the Qingju district, one for each of the 300 sects plus the powerful sword sect. Each bell is a masterpiece, personally forged by the sword sect's 9th Lord Sword Sovereign, and is said to contain a perpetual machine that allows it to ring without spiritual energy. Its function is an emergency hotline for the mortal world. If someone in need lights a special incense, the corresponding bell will ring. However, the bell at Mo sect has a history of bringing misfortune. His disciple, Luo Bing, a graceful woman in a green and white dress, steps forward and offers to investigate, but the sect leader declines, stating he will go personally. He internally scoffs at the idea of giving such a perfect opportunity to show off to someone else. Luo Bing, ever loyal, asks to accompany him, and he agrees, stating they shouldn't delay. Another disciple, a man with a large sword on his back, is left behind, feeling utterly ignored. The sect leader and Luo Bing take to the skies, flying toward their destination. The sect leader identifies the location as the Fog River. Luo Bing confirms this, and as they fly, she internally reflects on her situation, noting that she can call him young lord when her master isn't around, as her master is very hostile towards any woman who gets close to him. She feels that since she can't make all the women vying for his attention leave, she might as well join them, even if her lowly background means she can't aim to be the sect leader's wife. The sect leader recalls that the last time the Wanmin bell rang, the incense was lit here at the Fog River, and he wonders what has happened this time. As they descend, they see a crowd of worried villagers gathered by the riverbank. An old man, the village head, greets the sect leader with reverence, astonished that the leader of Mo sect came himself. The sect leader asks what's wrong, and the village head explains that a water ghost has appeared in the river once again. The sect leader's expression darkens at the word again. A system window suddenly appears before him, glowing with golden light, announcing you have triggered a mission. The mission is titled Fog River's Water Ghost, and the objective is to remove the ghost hiding at the bottom of the riverbed for a reward of 10,000 experience points. Luo Bing, seeing his anger, explains that the reason he's so furious is because they had supposedly already eliminated this water ghost half a year ago. A flashback begins, showing the Wanmin bell ringing in the past. Luo Bing narrates that at the time, her master was in closed cultivation and the sect leader was away, leaving only her and another disciple, Hai Ting, on the mountain. Being too weak to confront the ghosts themselves, they made the decision to seek help from a middle-class sect in the same district, offering their sect's spiritual stones as payment. The flashback shows them handing over a pouch of glowing stones to representatives of the other sect, who promised to handle the problem. When the sect leader returned, he praised them for their quick thinking, saying it was their duty to protect the area under Mo sect's care. But now it's clear the other sect took their money and did nothing, deceiving them completely. The sect leader's anger boils over, a dark smirk forming on his face as he thinks, how brave of them. He explains that the world's ghost monsters are born from the accumulated resentment of many, and water ghosts specifically are born from the resentment of all the people who have drowned in a location over many years. An impressed villager notes that the sect leader is far more knowledgeable and capable than the disciple from the middle-class sect who came last time. The sect leader knows that only one water ghost can exist in the same place at a time, which means the ghost in the river must be the very same one that was never eliminated. He asks the village head if there were any casualties, and the old man sorrowfully recounts the death of Xiao Ma Zai's father, a fisherman who had promised to bring his son back candies. They found his body turned into a dry, shriveled corpse, leaving his family fatherless. Filled with resolve, the sect leader instructs Luo Bing to stay and guard the villagers, promising a swift return. He then steps onto the surface of the river, walking on water as if it were solid ground, shocking the villagers. He commands his system to lock onto the target. A glowing interface appears, confirming the target, level 20 water ghost, noting it was born of resentment and has been growing for half a year, its ghostly aura very strong. Seeing the monstrous, writhing form of the ghost beneath the surface, he confirms it's the one from last time before it erupts with a furious roar. Back on the shore, the villagers watch the turbulent water with bated breath, wondering if the sect leader is okay. Suddenly, the water explodes upwards in a massive geyser, and the terrifying, multi-limbed water ghost is launched into the air. The villagers scream in terror, recognizing it as the creature that killed the fisherman. They panic, wondering where the sect leader is. In the darkness of the deep water, the sect leader's hand, holding a small, powerful artifact, glows brightly as he simply says, "Scram!" A massive blast of light erupts from the water's surface, so bright that the villagers have to shield their eyes. When the light fades, the water is calm again, and both the ghost and the sect leader are gone. A shimmering message appears written on the surface of the water. The water ghost has been eradicated. The villagers are left in awe, grateful but saddened that they didn't even get a chance to thank their savior. Flying away from the river, the sect leader receives a system notification. You killed the water ghost. You have received 10,000 experience points. He turns to Luo Bing and asks which sect they hired last time. She replies, Shuyu sect. He notes the irony, as that sect specializes in water sword skill, saying they chose a fitting one. Luo Bing then asks if they are heading to the Shuyu sect now. He confirms it, but says there's something else to be done first. The scene shifts to the home of the deceased fisherman. His wife is sewing a piece of clothing, lamenting that if she had finished it sooner, her husband wouldn't have had to wear ragged clothes when he passed. Their young son, Xiao Ma, holding a Tanghulu candy skewer, wonders where his dad is and why he hasn't come home yet. A knock comes at the door, and the boy runs to open it, hopefully asking if his dad is back. From a distance, hidden in the foliage, the sect leader and Luo Bing watch the heartbreaking scene. The narrative notes that to the vast district, it was just the death of a fisherman, but to a family, it was the loss of their pillar. Luo Bing observes that the child doesn't seem to have any potential for cultivation, but the sect leader disagrees, stating the child has a face of good fortune and his future is yet to be determined. Luo Bing is touched by this, realizing that the young lord, who often acts in secret, possesses a truly gentle soul. They then arrive at Chan Huan Mountain, the home of the Shuyu sect. The sect is described as a mess internally, ranked 98th among middle-class sects, with its leader in seclusion and the elders locked in a power struggle. Despite their internal strife, they are still powerful enough to easily crush the Mo sect. As they approach the gates, the disciples on guard are struck by their beautiful and divine appearance, realizing they must be extraordinary people. One of the disciples steps forward to question them just as a new mission window appears for the sect leader, titled Rules. The mission details the failure of the Shuyu sect disciple, Meng Feng, and instructs the sect leader to make him understand Mo sect's greatness and the rules of the cultivation world with a simple, direct order. Go and make a mess, sect leader. The sect leader scans the disciples' names, which appear as passerby A, B, C, D in his vision, and realizes Meng Feng is not among them. He ignores the guards' questions and begins to walk past them. The disciples shout for him to hold on, becoming more aggressive and threatening to get rough if he doesn't answer. The sect leader smiles slyly, thinking that since they have a Wanmin bell too, he'll just make them come to him. With a flick of his wrist, he sends a wave of energy that strikes the massive bell at their gate, causing it to ring out with a deafening dong. The disciples are utterly shocked and enraged, one screaming, "Do you know what that bell is?" Before they can react further, two elderly men appear in a flash of light, the first and second elders of Shuyu sect. They speak in perfect unison, asking the sect leader why he rang the bell, then immediately bicker with each other, shouting who does. In unison when the sect leader comments on their chemistry. The sect leader ignores their squabbling and introduces himself as Lu Keoj, the sect leader of Mo sect. The elders are dismissive and contemptuous, questioning what business a lowly sect from the lower 100 could have with them. They size him up, noting his cultivation base is only at the first rank 8th heavenly layer, and wonder at his audacity. The sect leader calmly states he is looking for one of their disciples, Meng Feng. The second elder's expression sours immediately, as Meng Feng is his third direct disciple, realizing this upstart has come specifically for him. The first elder, however, grins maliciously, anticipating a good show at his rival's expense. Elsewhere, Meng Feng is shown preening, wondering why the sect leader of Mo sect would be asking for him by name, arrogantly assuming it's because of his legendary handsomeness. Then he remembers. A flashback shows Hai Ting and Luo Bing pleading with him to help the villagers, and his disdainful reply that they should be kneeling when asking for a favor. Luo Bing had resisted, but for the sake of the villagers, they both knelt and offered the spiritual stones. Meng Feng recalls taking the stones and immediately forgetting his promise, spending the money on alcohol and women. He thinks to himself that it was just the lives of one or two ordinary people, and that as an immortal cultivator, he is on a completely different level from mortals. Knowing he's in trouble but seeking to control the narrative, he walks forward and puts on a grand display of feigned remorse. He bows deeply before the sect leader, admitting he is Meng Feng and claiming he failed because his skills were too low and the water ghost escaped. He then offers to compensate Mo sect with double the amount of spiritual stones. The sect leader is unmoved by the act, his voice cold as he states, "Mist River's village lost a fisherman." Meng Feng, believing this is a shakedown, grits his teeth and increases the offer to threefold the spiritual stones, claiming it's his limit. The sect leader lets out a chilling laugh. "Compensate? How laughable," he says as a dark aura begins to swirl around him. His eyes glow with menacing power as he commands Meng Feng, "Sword sect rule number 16, say it out loud." Terrified and trembling, Meng Feng stammers out the rule. Anyone who accepts a request via the Wanmin bell and takes it lightly, indirectly causing the loss of lives, will receive the punishment of being whipped. The second elder glares at the sect leader, realizing he's being blackmailed, while the first elder watches with glee. The punishment is detailed: 6 whips total, 3 thunder whips for the body and 3 for the Tao heart, a punishment that could permanently cripple a cultivator's future. Meng Feng screams for his master to save him, but the second elder knows he can't openly defy the sword sect's rules. He tries to bargain, offering resources if the sect leader will let his disciple go. But the sect leader's determined expression makes it clear that justice, not resources, is what he came for. Sect leader Lu stands impassively, his long purple hair framing a face of cold indifference as an elder from the Shuyu sect attempts to pull him aside for a private talk, an offer Lu completely ignores. The elder's disciple, a young man named Meng Feng, is held captive, his expression a mask of fear. Lu addresses the disciple directly, his voice cutting through the tension. "I'm giving you 3 options. He then clarifies, first, the 6 whips. A sinister red aura begins to emanate from Lu's form, signifying his power. Second, receive a sword slash from me. The disciple, trembling, asks about the third option, to which Lu mockingly replies, "There's no third option, I was playing with you." He then offers a cruel amendment, suggesting the third option could be a combination of the first 2. The 2 Shuyu sect elders watch this display. One of them, a man with a long white beard, is accosted by his peer who accuses him of trying to use bribery to solve the situation, a violation of the sword sect's rules. The disciple, seeing his master hesitate, realizes he has been abandoned, his face etched with despair. Pressured by Lu's ultimatum, the disciple makes his choice, shouting, I'll receive a sword slash from you." Meng Feng, the disciple, steels himself for the blow. He thinks to himself that Lu is only at the 8th heavenly layer, around his own cultivation level, so a single hit shouldn't be too damaging, certainly better than the dreaded 6 whips. He unsheathes his own sword, its blade gleaming in the light as he prepares his stance. Lu, however, remains calm and states that he won't even unsheath his real sword, a declaration that fills the disciple with a foolish confidence. What? He won't unsheath his sword. If he can still manage to badly injure me, then I won't train with my sword anymore in the future. The disciple vows internally. The two elders watch from the side, confused by Lu's apparent softness, whispering that he must still be interested in getting resources from them and is only putting on a show. The disciple kneels, presenting himself for the blow and shouting, "Please, sect leader Lu." In response, Lu simply says, "Okay." Instead of drawing a weapon, Lu raises his hand, and the very air around them begins to warp and churn. A vast, dark power swirls into existence, a maelstrom of pure energy that causes the elders to cry out in shock. It's the power of heaven and earth, sword intent. An invisible force, more potent than any physical blade, slams into Meng Feng. His own sword cracks and shatters into 1,000 pieces under the immense pressure. The wave of energy engulfs him completely, blasting him backward through the air as his body is racked with unimaginable pain. He lands in a heap on the ground, defeated and broken, as the energy dissipates into leaves floating on the wind. The white-bearded elder screams his disciple's name, "Meng Feng!" One of the surrounding disciples observes in horror that senior brother Meng Feng's sword heart has been shattered, a crippling blow for any sword cultivator. Lu turns his back on the scene, remarking coolly, "He cultivates, but he doesn't cultivate his heart. This worked out just right. Better stop training with his sword." The master of the defeated disciple, the white-bearded elder, trembles with incandescent rage, a fiery red aura exploding around him as he glares at Lu. His fellow elder, a man with darker hair and a conniving expression, sees an opportunity and begins to taunt him. Tusk, it can't be. You won't be breaking the sword sect's rules just to protect your disciple, right?" he whispers, hoping to incite a foolish attack. He continues to mock the elder, calling his disciple's fate miserable and his master's inaction even more pitiable, all in an attempt to make him break the rules so the Shuyu sect would fall into his own hands. The white-bearded elder finally relents with a sigh, declaring "fine," and stepping forward to praise Lu's skills, though his subordinate calls him a coward for backing down. Lu's female companion, Luo, watches him with admiration, her internal thoughts running wild as she applies a level 1000 high-quality beautifying filter to her perception of him, seeing him as a truly cool and unrestrained cultivator who stood up for her and her brother. The conniving elder, however, is not finished. He continues to fan the flames, pointing out Meng Feng's bloody and broken state, noting his teeth are broken and he'll only be able to eat porridge from now on. Lu, sensing the manipulation, decides to turn the tables. "Trying to fan the flames? I hate being used like a tool. Since it has come to this, I'll drag you two down as well," he thinks. He loudly asks the two elders if, according to the sword sect's rules, Meng Feng had any right to resist. The elders are forced to admit that Lu would have been within his rights to directly take the disciple's life. Lu then poses another question. If Meng Feng had been able to handle the single blow, would he have gone back safe and sound? The elder confirms this, noting it was the right choice over taking the 6 whips. With his point made, Lu delivers the final, crushing insult. "Therefore, it's not that my punishment was too harsh, but that you guys at the Shuyu sect are too weak. Far too weak. So exaggeratedly weak," he states, his words echoing in the courtyard. He concludes with a devastating philosophical blow. "Being a waste is your original sin." The words hit the elders like a physical blow, stacking invisible stones of shame upon them that read, "Too weak. Far too weak, and atrociously weak." The white-bearded elder, now thoroughly incensed, protests, "As the sect leader of an entire sect yourself, how could you use your full strength on a mere disciple of our sect? Isn't that too much?" Lu smirks, seizing the opening. "So Shuyu sect's first elder still knows that I'm the leader of a sect," he says calmly. He points out that according to the rules, his rank is at least half a rank higher than theirs. "Therefore, let me ask you too, why are you not bowing when you stand before me?" The elders are struck speechless, stammering with rage and humiliation as Lu reminds them that they are still not the sect leader. Suddenly, the sound of slow, deliberate clapping echoes through the tense air. A new figure appears, a woman of stunning beauty and imposing presence. "Interesting, how interesting," she says, her voice carrying a tone of amusement and authority. The two elders turn and see her, their faces draining of all color. "Why is she here? We're doomed this time," they whisper in terror. The woman leaps down from a rooftop, landing gracefully in the center of the courtyard. She is identified as Lai Nan Wai, the daughter of the Sword Sovereign, a position that grants her immense status and power, even higher than that of Yu. She carries a massive, ornate weapon on her back, which she sheathes with a resonant clang. Lu's companion, Luo Bing, observes Lu's gaze lingering on Lai Nan Wai's prominent chest and immediately comes to the wrong conclusion, thinking to herself, "So, young lord likes likes this type of woman. She recalls advice from her madam about certain tricks and resolves to start her massaging plan that very night. Lu, meanwhile, is using his system to analyze the newcomer. The system returns a warning, "It's a strong creature, please be cautious," and fails to display her level, which Lu deduces means she must be at least level 40 or higher, a full 20 levels above him. Lai Nanwai formally greets him, direct disciple of the Sword Sect. Lai Nanwai greets sect leader Lu. Lu simply stands his ground and accepts the greeting, an act that shocks the two elders to their core. Is that brat insane? He dared to accept the greeting from the daughter of the Sword Sovereign? They think in disbelief. Lai Nanwai, however, is intrigued. Interesting. This person is way too interesting, she muses. Other people always treat me with utmost respect and courtesy, but he receives my greeting plainly like that. Recalls that junior brother Yu had mentioned a mysterious senior brother and wonders if Lu could be him. She decides to test him, stating, "I've heard about you from Yu." Lu, playing along, thinks to himself, "Little Yu, don't say I never helped you out," and responds aloud, "I wonder what he said about me. Can you share a little?" After a brief, friendly exchange that further horrifies the elders, Lu announces his departure. As he turns to leave, the white-bearded elder quickly offers threefold the spiritual stones as compensation for his disciple's debt, which Lu accepts without breaking stride. As they walk away, Lai Nanwai calls out, "Sect leader Lu, Nanwai has something to ask." She catches up to them and reveals her suspicion. Then the mysterious senior brother that Yu mentioned must be you. Lu is internally fuming. What the hell is that? What did Yu do behind my back, that brat? He realizes this is why his reputation points haven't increased. Yu never told anyone his name. He asks what her father, the Sword Sovereign, said upon hearing about this mysterious figure. Lai Nanwai pauses, a dazed look on her face before replying. He said he was really jealous. Lu is momentarily stunned, then understands perfectly. Did you understand why father said such words? Lai Nanwai asks. Lu looks at her and explains the profound loneliness of being the strongest. That is seeking to be defeated your whole life, yet still remain unrivaled under the heavens. That is the loneliest thing. The realization dawns on Lai Nanwai and Luo Bing. The Sword Sovereign wasn't jealous of the mysterious senior's power, but jealous that his prodigious student, Yu, had found a true rival to push him to greater heights. Lu, still annoyed about the lost reputation points, tells Lai Nan why they will be leaving now, a statement that freezes her in shock, as no one in Qingzhou has ever dismissed her so casually. Intrigued and impressed, she asks, "Sect leader Lu, may Nanwai stay over at Mo Sect for a few days?" Lu hesitates, thinking about the cost of housing such a guest, but then surprisingly agrees with a smile, offering his hospitality. This decision reinforces Luo Bing's mistaken belief that he prefers bigger ones, and she reaffirms her massaging plan for that night. They arrive at Danqing Mountain, the home of Mo Sect. Lu shows Lai Nanwai to a guest room and instructs Luo Bing to settle the mother and son they previously rescued. With his immediate duties handled, he turns his attention to his rewards, a pleased smirk on his face as a golden system window appears before him. Please accept your mission rewards. The sect leader sits in quiet contemplation within his chambers, deciding it is time to claim his rewards from the system that governs his progress. He calls out mentally, "System, I want to receive my mission rewards." A brilliant golden light immediately fills the room as a translucent screen materializes before him, announcing the release of his rewards. A massive surge of power flows into him, signified by the text plus 20,000 experience points glowing brightly. The sect leader reflects on the flashy nature of these effects, recalling how he once found them crass, yet now a strange feeling accompanies their reappearance. With the experience points secured, he moves on to the next phase, the mission assessment. Another golden panel appears, declaring, "Assessing the mission, begin." The sect leader sighs in mild annoyance, thinking, "Not again. Your special effects not cost any money." He grumbles inwardly about how these systems always favor drama over efficiency, wishing it would just give him the score directly. A strange, swirling golden vortex appears, displaying a series of numbers as if they were on a slot machine, causing him to raise an eyebrow in confusion. The numbers spin wildly before settling. The first digit lands on a 2. Then the second digit clicks into place, an 8. The final score materializes, 82. A new panel confirms it, stating he has received 82 reputation points. The sect leader frowns, wondering how he's supposed to get the remaining 18 points. He concludes that to achieve a higher score, he would have had to defeat the elders in addition to the younger opponent, regretting that he let the 2 shitty elders go. Despite his slight disappointment, he acknowledges that his current reputation points are now sufficient to surpass the 8th-ranked sects. With this thought, he taps a finger in the air, bringing up the sect upgrade requirements. The screen shows he has 1,047 out of 1,000 reputation points needed, but he is lacking in two other areas. He only has one of the 3 required second-rank sect members, and he has 0 of the 100 disciples required. He muses that while recruiting disciples will be a hassle, fulfilling the second requirement should be easier. Since he has gained enough experience points for himself, he decides to level up directly. Then, let's level up 2 levels for now and become second rank directly, he resolves. A tremendous surge of spiritual energy erupts around him, a column of swirling blue and white light engulfing his body. His level indicator rapidly clicks from 18 to 19, and then to 20, signifying his breakthrough to first-rank great completion. Outside, by a crackling fire, a beautiful woman with long purple hair named Manhwa senses the power fluctuation. Brother has broken through again, she observes, noting it was 2 levels at once. She isn't initially surprised, as leveling up 2 levels isn't impossibly difficult. She and junior brother Yu have done it before. However, a sudden realization dawns on her and her expression turns to one of shock. But at Shuyu Sect, he really was first rank only. She wonders aloud, her eyes widening. The implication is staggering. If so, he managed to manifest sword intent at such a rank? How can that be? She recalls that even the once-in-a-thousand-year genius Yu could only form his sword intent after reaching the 3rd rank. Her own father, the revered sword sovereign, had personally told her not to even bother trying for sword intent before reaching 3rd rank. A dangerous thought crosses her mind. Should I rush there and capture him for deeper investigation? But she immediately dismisses it, admonishing herself. No, I have to calm down. I'm the daughter of the sword sovereign. How can I do something like this? Yet, her resolve crumbles as the palpable essence of his first-rank sword intent washes over her. She begins to breathe heavily, her composure lost. That really is a sword intent formed by a first rank, she thinks, a desperate and obsessive desire filling her. I want it. I really want it. She tries to rein in her thoughts, telling herself he must still be absorbing and digesting his new power, and that she will wait until morning to capture him, though she quickly amends the thought to ask him. That night, she is tormented by a feverish dream or obsession, imagining herself cornering the frightened Yu, muttering about his peerless sword body, and her desire to investigate him thoroughly as he screams for his senior brother to save him. Meanwhile, the sect leader, Luo is completely oblivious to her turmoil. He's grinning with sinister delight as a new system notification appears before him. A leveling up mission. He chuckles, hee, it's another mission to help me level up. 4 pillars of light appear before him, each a different color representing a difficulty level: yellow, blue, purple, and orange. Remembering the excellent reward he received from the last orange-level mission, a spiritual awakening voucher, he doesn't hesitate. Choose it again, he declares, tapping the glowing orange pillar. The system confirms his choice. You have successfully accepted the leveling up mission, difficulty level, orange. The details of the mission appear: kill the demonic cultivator from the mysterious organization. He feels a sense of dark amusement, thinking it's like pushing oneself into hell when there isn't even a door. A countdown timer appears, ticking down from 48 hours. A predatory smile spreads across his face as he thinks. Hunting time begins now. He looks out into the distance, a silent promise to his unseen foe. You should appreciate the last few hours from now, since that will be the last moments of your life. The next morning, Luo is in the middle of his daily cultivation, his body wreathed in flowing streams of pale green spiritual energy. His concentration is broken by the arrival of Manhwa. He opens his eyes and tells her, Lady Manhwa, don't you know it's very rude to interrupt when people are cultivating in silence? He thinks to himself that he can't let women get off so easily or they'll walk all over him. He recognizes that while she may be obsessed with swords, he has a charm of 10 and should probably keep his distance. He stands up and informs her that he has something to deal with outside the mountains and that she can move about his Sect freely. As he turns to leave, she calls out, up, Sect leader Lu. Manhwa has something to ask. He stops and looks back at her. She asks the question that has been plaguing her. My father once said no one can form their sword intent before reaching 3rd rank, but you did it. Why is that so? Luo simply glances at her, his expression unreadable before delivering a world-shattering response. It means the sword sovereign is wrong. Manhwa is left utterly stunned, the words sword sovereign, wrong, echoing in her mind. She knows that anyone else in Qingzhou who heard such a claim would think him insane. A memory of her father surfaces, his voice saying, I may be the leader of swordsmanship in this generation, but it doesn't mean I am what defines it. As Luo flies away from the sect on his sword, he wonders what reward this new orange-level mission will bring. The mere thought of the impending hunt makes his blood boil with excitement. He addresses his future target in his mind. My cute monster, clean your neck and get ready to die. The scene shifts to the idyllic Jin New village where children are playing. Near a crystal-clear river, a voluptuous woman with long, silvery white hair and leopard-spotted markings on her skin emerges from the water. With a sinister smile, she summons two gigantic demonic beasts from the river's depths. A massive, fanged green snake and a hulking, multi-eyed purple spider. "Lerp Tilda, you guys are surely very hungry, right?" She coos at them. "Then go, eat up, Tilda, go and eat up those fresh blood and flesh." The beasts roar and surge toward the unsuspecting village, causing immediate panic. "It's a monster!" The villagers scream, running for their lives. A mother shields her child as the monsters bear down on them, but just as the giant snake is about to strike, a figure appears in a flash of dark energy. It is Luo Bing. "Back off," he says calmly, his presence halting the beasts in their tracks. The terrified villagers look on in awe and relief, realizing a cultivator has come to save them. Luo Bing assesses his foes, a level 21 giant snake and a level 20 giant spider, remarking, "HM, not bad." The demonic cultivator appears before him, annoyed. "To get in the way of our meals," she says, her eyes raking over him. She then smiles seductively, "So handsome. You seem really tasty." Luo Bing returns her smile with a smirk of his own. "So do you want to eat me?" he asks nonchalantly. "Or in what way do you want to eat me?" Her expression turns ferocious. "I want to rip you to shreds and eat you with a dipping sauce," she screeches, lunging forward with a burst of pink energy. Luo Bing doesn't move. "That's not the way of eating I look forward to," he says as he effortlessly raises his hand, unleashing a powerful wave of water that slams into her, blasting her back. She is enraged, screaming, "You want to fight me, you're courting death," as she absorbs some ambient energy. At her command, the giant snake and spider attack Luo Bing simultaneously. Observing the battle, a small girl in the village says to her mother, "That's an uncle." Her mother replies, "He's so good-looking, so he must be a big brother." Luo Bing calmly faces the dual assault, thinking that his low level causes his skills to drain his mana quickly and he needs to end this fast. "Attacking at the same time? That's exactly what I wanted," he taunts them. "Hurry up, it's boring if you're so slow." He then envelops the area in a thick, swirling mist. The demonic cultivator shouts that he's trying to hide, but his voice echoes from within the fog. "Hide? How will I fight you head-on if I hide? A real man can't always back down." He then unleashes his technique, water pressure. The moisture in the air instantly becomes immensely heavy, crushing the two giant beasts flat against the ground, their bodies dissolving into black ink. With her beasts gone, Luo Bing confronts the demonic cultivator, who is now the only one left. "At last, it's only you," he says with a smile. "How do you want to eat me now?" Filled with rage and desperation, she snarls, "I want to rip you to shreds, force you to stay conscious, and let you watch as I eat your flesh bit by bit." Luo Bing merely chuckles. "Oh ho, that's quite cruel," he remarks casually. Seeing what she believes is an opening, she lunges forward, shouting, "Die!" But her attack is effortlessly parried. He looks at her with pity. "Didn't you know my power of heaven and earth is water already? Yet you still used a poisonous mist made up of water. Is your brain okay?" Before she can react, he seizes control of the poison mist, his own water ability overwhelming hers. He commands her own attack to return, and the corrosive pink energy engulfs her completely. She screams in agony as her body begins to decay within her own poisonous barrier. She falls to the ground, defeated and pleading for her life. "I'm begging you, spare me. I'll do anything. My body is great," she offers. Luo Bing looks down at her dispassionately. "To be honest, that few instances of pleasure, I used to be addicted to it too," he admits. "Plus, your body is a tempting, sinful one, but now women will only influence the speed in which I draw my sword." With a final, cold statement, "Furthermore, the dead souls of those who you ate, they want you to die sooner." He slashes his sword, ending her life. Just as the villagers begin to celebrate, the dying giant spider makes one last desperate attack, lunging at the small girl. Luo Bing moves to intercept, but the creature's sharp leg manages to slice his arm, drawing blood before he obliterates it. The little girl begins to sob, thinking it's her fault he got hurt. Luo Bing kneels down and, to comfort her, uses his water ability to create a cascade of beautiful, shimmering bubbles that float around her, captivating her and stopping her tears. The grateful villagers crowd around him, thanking him and asking for his name. Standing tall amidst the smoking ruins, he announces, "This venerable is Sect's Luo Bing," as celebratory fireworks, set off by the villagers, explode in the sky behind him. Sect leader Luo examines the spoils of his battle, holding up a piece of beast skin clothing with a critical eye, his lips pursed in disapproval. He mutters to himself about the poor design and unusable material, finding the revealing cut of the garment to be truly immoral. After a moment's consideration, he swallows a glowing pill to treat his injuries, the ethereal light of the medicine visible for a second before it disappears. He dismisses the beast clothes as a low-quality, yellow-grade item, something to be sold off when the chance arises, not worthy of his attention. His gaze then lifts to the horizon, taking in a vast, sprawling landscape of dusty plains and scattered settlements under a wide, blue sky, recognizing it as Qingzhou. Standing atop a cliff, his dark robes fluttering in the wind, he reflects on the nature of cultivators in the Tiangshuan world, acknowledging they are not true immortals, just individuals with strength slightly greater than that of ordinary people. Despite this, he notes the gratitude of the common folk, their unwavering belief that sword cultivators exist to protect them, a thought that resonates with his own philosophy on the purpose of wielding a sword, to shield the weak. Deciding to inspect the rest of his loot, he takes out a simple, glowing green storage bracelet, the one belonging to the female demon cultivator he defeated. He channels his spiritual energy into it, his expression calm and curious as he prepares to see what treasures it holds. His brow furrows slightly as he pulls out a mere handful of glowing blue spiritual stones, a comically small amount that makes him wonder if the demon cultivator was even poorer than himself. His eyes then widen in surprise as he feels something larger within the bracelet. He reaches in again and pulls out a much bigger, more intricately carved object, a skull which he holds for a moment before tossing it away with a sense of grim duty, telling the deceased to rest in peace now that he has exacted revenge in their stead. Continuing his search, he finds 2 purple moon badges, indicating the demon cultivator was an official member of her organization. He concludes that she was indeed poor, with the best item she possessed being the revealing outfit she wore. Still, he smirks, considering it wasn't a waste to kill her, and now turns his attention to the system, hoping for a better surprise from his mission rewards. A holographic interface materializes before him, glowing with golden light as he submits his mission results. The system informs him that the rewards for this orange-level mission will be given through a roulette, wishing him great fortunes. The interface expands into a large, ornate golden roulette wheel floating in the sky, divided into sections labeled A, B, C, and D, with A being the best and D the worst. Sect leader Luo immediately scoffed, pointing an accusatory finger at the wheel, annoyed by the minuscule sliver of space allocated to the rank reward, questioning the fairness of the setup. He complains aloud, asking the system where it learned such biased design, but then a smirk crosses his face. Confident in his own luck, he declares that with his fortune, hitting the rank should be easy, boasting that he'll show the system what it means to be the luckiest player. With a dramatic flourish, he shouts "Activate" and strikes the start button on the interface. The golden roulette wheel begins to spin rapidly, a blur of light and symbols, while Sect leader Luo watches with a tense gulp, his eyes fixed on the spinning indicator. The wheel gradually slows, the pointer ticking past the larger sections, approaching the tiny rank sliver. He chants A. Under his breath, his anticipation reaching a fever pitch as the pointer seems poised to stop on the grand prize. But to his utter shock and frustration, the pointer overshoots the L and lands squarely in the massive D section before stopping completely. He throws his hands up in the air and screams, "Fuck!" his face a mask of disbelief. Just as he resigns himself to the worst reward, the pointer, which had come to a full stop, suddenly twitches and slowly, impossibly begins to move again, crawling backward toward the C-section. Sect leader Luo can only stare, dumbfounded, wondering if the system is toying with him. A small hexagonal window pops up with the cheeky message, "Don't overthink it, hee." Before he can complain further, the system ejects a reward to distract him, a glowing, ornate voucher materializing in his hand. He examines the special item, a copying voucher. The system explains that this treasure can copy any item he touches in this world, but it's a one-time use item. A wide, mischievous grin spreads across his face as he realizes the potential of this cheat-level treasure. His mind immediately jumps to the world's main character's cheat item, which he knows is back at his home with Yu. He reflects that this particular item is owned by all 4 main characters of the Tiangshuan world, and that there must be a huge secret behind it. Knowing the item originates from the ancient and powerful Tianyi Dao sect, he feels a sense of entitlement. If the world's main characters have one, then he, the chosen one, must have one too. His plan is simple. He'll ask Yu to let him touch it later, allowing him to use the copying voucher. Having sorted his rewards, Sect leader Luo decides it's time to level up. He focuses his energy, and a brilliant golden aura erupts around him, columns of light shooting into the sky as he breaks through from level 20 to level 21. He feels his spiritual power increase by a full fold, and his ability to control water becomes significantly stronger. He assesses his newfound strength, confident that he could now easily handle another level 20 opponent like the female demonic cultivator he just defeated. His thoughts then drift to the cultivation scrolls. He knows his purple-ranked skill is already the highest level in the current Tianquan world, as the legendary orange-ranked scrolls from the ancient Tianyi Dao sect have been lost to time. This leads him to contemplate the history of the Tianquan world and the legendary figure who founded Tianyi Dao. This founder, a half-demon born with a frail body, defied his fate. Despite being forever cold and plagued by illnesses that no medicine could cure, he not only survived but revolutionized cultivation. He created the Kai cultivation scroll, a method that allowed even ordinary people without innate talent to cultivate, changing the destiny of the entire human race. The sect was named Tianyi Dao, meaning that with one person's strength, he was almost equivalent to the Tao itself, a miracle he granted the world. It is also mentioned that the ancient Tianyi Dao sect was settled in Qingzhou, the very land named after the founder's own name, King, earning him the title Emperor King. As sect leader Lu returns to his own Mo sect, a figure is seen waiting for him. A woman with long purple hair, Nanwai, spots his approach and calls out he's back. She leaps into the air to greet him, landing gracefully and calling out his title, Sect Leader Lu. He observes her, a hint of amusement on his face, wondering if this crazy woman had been waiting for him all along. She immediately notices his increased power, exclaiming that he's already reached the second rank in just one day, a speed that no one in the entire sword sect, not even her or Yu, could rival. She states that she has something to ask him. With a predatory grin, she unsheathes her massive sword with a swoosh, the polished steel gleaming in the sunlight. She declares her purpose. Sect Leader Lu, please enlighten me. He looks at her, his expression one of weary resignation, thinking to himself that this girl is just like her dad, a sword addict. The narrative then flashes back to the story of the sword sovereign, Nanwai's father. When he was younger, he was known for being sharp but brittle, with people saying his sword would snap easily. However, after reaching his peak, people's descriptions of him changed to awe, boasting that they had once crossed swords with him in the past. Now facing the challenge of the sword sovereign's daughter, sect leader Lu calmly agrees with a simple sure. Nanwai is visibly happy, but he adds that he has one request. She readily agrees, as long as it isn't overboard, her excitement palpable. She speaks of the man who formed a sword intent in the first rank, her heart itching unbearably for a fight, a crazed look in her eyes as she admits she really wants to cut him down. Sect leader Lu calmly states his condition. He will draw his sword only once, and the duel will end after that. Nanwai eagerly accepts, declaring that once is enough to stop her itch. He then leads her toward the Mo sect's martial arts field. On their way, they pass his disciples practicing. Xiao Qiu, a young girl, is being corrected on her form by the second senior sister, who demonstrates the proper way to hold and swing a sword. The other disciples watch in admiration, with Xiao Qiu exclaiming how amazing her senior sister is. Nanwai observes the scene and comments on the envious atmosphere of the Mo sect, which sect leader Lu acknowledges with a nod. As they arrive at the training ground, his disciples, including a young man with a hazy black aura around him, greet him as master and brother. Nanwai glances at the young man, noting the ominous aura covering him, but sect leader Lu dismisses it as a small matter, stating that he has never believed in fate. This prompts her to ask what fate is to him. With a profound look, he declares that fate is an excuse for the weak, but a humbling word for the strong. His fate is in his own hands, not in the heavens. His powerful speech leaves Nanwai momentarily stunned, impressed by his words even as her desire to fight him intensifies. Ready for their duel, she states that since he is in the first heavenly layer of the second rank, she will seal her own cultivation to match his level. His disciples watch from the sidelines, buzzing with excitement that their sect leader is going to fight again. Lu Tian, his younger sister, notes his breakthrough with a casual, amazing, her calm reaction slightly perplexing him as he expected more overjoyed enthusiasm. Nanwai reminds him of his promise to only draw his sword once, and in turn she promises to go all out with her next slash. A powerful aura crackles around her and the air grows cold. Snow begins to fall, but it's not water, it's her sword intent, a vortex of whirling, sharp energy that fills the training ground. His disciples marvel at the beautiful but deadly display. Sect leader Lu, unfazed, acknowledges her sword intent and prepares his own move. He steps to the side, shifting into the Zheng position, a calm and centered stance. He knows her strength well, recalling that Lai Nanwai, daughter of the sword sovereign, broke into the 4th rank before turning 20 and was the senior sister of Yu. He has a crucial piece of information. He knows of the fight she had with Yu in his past life, a fight that was known to everyone and which led to them becoming a couple. With this foreknowledge, he confidently states that he has a cheat from the very start, or he has already seen through her weakness. As her powerful whirling snow sword intent rushes toward him, he stands his ground, a smirk on his face, and with a single, precise movement, he unleashes his counterattack. There is a massive explosion of energy, and when the dust settles, the snow has dispersed. The disciples are shocked, wondering if the fight ended in a draw. Sect leader Lu stands calmly, holding a small wooden charm. He tells Nan why that she dropped something. She stares at him, her expression a mix of shock and confusion. She wonders if he only won by a bit, or if he intentionally let her off easy while actually winning by a large margin. Regardless of the details, she knows he has won. She gracefully concedes, "It's my loss." His disciples erupt in cheers, praising their sect leader's strength. Nan Y, however, is still perplexed. She doesn't understand how she lost when she wasn't weaker in sword intent skills or experience. He simply tells her that she has a weakness and that she should think about it properly, as that's what he grabbed a hold of to win. Hearing the word flaw or weakness, his disciples begin to whisper amongst themselves with blushing faces and wild interpretations, while Nan Y has a moment of enlightenment. She realizes he must have seen through her weakness from the very beginning, his mastery of swordsmanship far exceeding her imagination. The flaw was in her technique, a weakness in the Jang position of her attack. As she processes her defeat and newfound understanding, the youngest disciple, Xiaoqiu, declares that she will one day become the second sect leader, inspired by his display. Nan Y prepares to leave, and sect leader Lu returns her wooden plate. As his hand touches it, a system notification appears, initiating a copy of the item. He notices how much she cares for this simple wooden plate and asks about its significance. She explains that she found it at a location with traces of Tianyi Dao. It's not particularly special, except that it can't be kept in storage tools and has a calming effect on the mind. She mentions that she plans on gifting it to Yu Yu, who is very interested in the history of Tianyi Dao. Sect leader Lu observes her fond expression as she speaks of Yu Yu, realizing she sees him as a younger brother, and wonders why things changed later in their lives to lead them to become a couple. He internally tusks at Yu Yu, thinking he's into older women. Having fulfilled her wish for a duel, Nan Y bids farewell to the Mo sect disciples and departs, leaving sect leader Lu to wonder how many reputation points this encounter will gain him. Days pass, and he grows increasingly impatient as his reputation points haven't increased at all, making him frustrated enough to consider storming the sword sect himself. Just then, a ding from the system announces that the copying process of the wooden plate is complete. The sprawling Qingju sword sect rests under a celestial sky, its magnificent architecture reaching towards the heavens, a beacon of power and discipline nestled among ethereal, glowing clouds. Within its hallowed grounds, a young man named Yu Yu is experiencing a profound internal storm, a tempest of thoughts that belies the serene night surrounding him. He stands guard, his posture straight and formal, his hands clasped behind his back, a silent sentinel before a simple wooden house. Inside, his senior sister is in seclusion, a critical moment in her training, and his duty is to ensure her absolute peace. The air is still, yet his mind is a whirlwind. He reasons with himself that within the formidable walls of the sword sect, no one would dare to interfere with her, but an unshakable sense of unease lingers. His thoughts drift, as they often do, to the mysterious senior brother he's heard so much about, a figure of legend and power. A woman's voice, perhaps a memory or an imagined confession, echoes in his mind. "Junior brother, I know who's that mysterious senior brother that you mentioned now." This only deepens his turmoil. He pictures his senior sister Nan Y, out in the world beyond the sect's mountains, and wonders if her path crossed with the renowned senior brother Luo Kog. A desperate curiosity consumes him, a yearning to know what transpired between them, to understand the nature of their encounter. He obsesses over the details, wondering about Luo Kog's current rank, his power, and most poignantly whether Yu Yu was ever mentioned in their conversations. The weight of these unanswered questions becomes unbearable. His carefully maintained composure shatters, and he clenches his fists, a wave of frustration washing over him. "Oh, I'm so bothered. Calm down," he silently screams at himself, tilting his head back to gaze at the full, luminous moon, as if seeking tranquility from its silent, silvery face. He tries to force his mind to be still, to focus on his duty, but the questions keep coming back, a relentless tide of anxiety and curiosity. Did senior brother Luo Kog mention me? The thought is a spark that he can't extinguish. As he stands there, lost in his inner world, a subtle shift in the atmosphere breaks his concentration. He looks up, his eyes widening slightly, a question mark almost visibly appearing above his head as a soft, ethereal glow begins to emanate from the direction of the wooden house. The night sky, previously calm, now seems to dance with a soft, falling light like gentle snowflakes made of pure energy. A powerful yet serene presence expands outwards from the house. Yu stares, his mouth slightly agape as he recognizes the unique signature of this energy. This is. He stammers to the empty air, his mind struggling to process the overwhelming spiritual pressure. It is an aura he knows intimately, a force he deeply respects. It's senior sister Nan Y's sword intent, he realizes, a sense of awe replacing his earlier anxiety. The air crackles with power, a testament to her successful breakthrough. Just as this realization dawns, the door to the wooden house slides open, and from within emerges Nan Y herself. She steps into the moonlit clearing, a faint, contented sigh escaping her lips. Phew! She looks utterly transformed. Yu's breath catches in his throat. She is radiant, her long purple hair flowing around her, her features softened by a serene, satisfied smile. The power she exudes is no longer volatile, but a calm, deep reservoir of strength. Senior sister Nan Y, he calls out, bowing his head respectfully. Congratulations for completing your training. Senior sister Nan Y. Her smile widens as she looks at him, a genuine warmth in her eyes. I've finally filled in that flaw of mine, she says, her voice calm and confident. Seeing her smile, a profound thought strikes Yu. A woman's satisfied smile has an extra, almost magical charm to men. For a moment he is captivated, but his obsession quickly resurfaces, pushing all other thoughts aside. This won't do, he thinks, a frantic energy returning to him. I have to hurry and ask about senior brother Luo instead. But before he can even form the words, Nan Y's smile turns slightly mischievous. Junior brother here, she says, her voice playful as she extends her hand towards him. This is for you. In her palm rests a small, curious object. Yu looks down at her offering, his face a mask of confusion. This is, he asks, reaching out to take it. It is a small, carved token, dark and weathered, with a newly tied red string attached to it. He inspects it closer, a jolt of recognition running through him as he identifies the unique craftsmanship. Tianyi Dao, he exclaims, his eyes wide with surprise. Nan Y's smile remains as she explains. I found this where Tianyi Dao used to live. It's not that useful, but I know you like collecting small things like this, so I brought it back for you. Her expression then gains a sharper, more intriguing edge. Oh, and look at the string attached. It was cut off a few days ago, so I had to reattach new ones. She pauses for dramatic effect, her eyes twinkling. It was cut off by your outstanding senior brother Luo. The name hangs in the air, electric and heavy. Yu stares at the token in his hand, his mind reeling. It was cut off by senior brother Luo. He repeats, the words tasting foreign and monumental on his tongue. His composure, so recently regained, shatters into a million pieces. A barrage of questions erupts from him, his voice high with excitement and desperation. He leans in close to her, his face a comical picture of frantic curiosity, almost as if three versions of himself are asking questions at once. Senior sister, did you spar with him? What rank is senior brother Luo now? How's his swordsmanship? Did his sword intent improve? Nan Y is taken aback by his sudden, overwhelming onslaught of questions. She puts a hand to her temple, a playful yet firm expression on her face. Enough! Stop right there and ask one by one, can't you? She scolds him gently. Yu immediately freezes, a sheepish look crossing his features as he realizes his breach of etiquette. He bows his head slightly, chastened. Sorry, senior sister, he murmurs, his earlier manic energy deflating into quiet embarrassment. Seeing his crestfallen look, Nan Y's expression softens into a warm smile. She gestures for him to follow her. Let's go there, she says, her voice now soothing. I'll slowly tell you about it. She leads him away from the training house towards a more secluded and peaceful spot within the sect's grounds. She gracefully lowers herself to the ground, sitting with her legs tucked beneath her in the lush grass. She pats the spot next to her, a silent invitation. Sit, she commands softly. Yu eagerly sits down opposite her, his entire being focused on her, ready to absorb every word. As she begins to speak about her encounter with Luo, his eyes widen and a gasp of astonishment escapes him. Oh, he exclaims, completely captivated by her tale. It was too fast for words to describe, Nan Y recounts, a look of profound respect in her own eyes as she remembers the moment. Yu can only nod, a look of hero worship shining on his face as he murmurs, as expected of senior brother Luo. Nan Y continues her story, her voice filled with a sense of wonder. And he has only broken through the first rank for not more than 4 months, yet he did it again. The information hits Yu with the force of a physical blow. He stares, utterly speechless, his mind trying to comprehend such an unprecedented rate of advancement. Breaking through a rank in mere months was already the stuff of legends, but to do so again in such a short period was simply unheard of. As he processes this incredible news, another thought strikes him, a detail he had momentarily forgotten in his excitement. Oh, right, he says, his focus shifting. Senior sister, you went to meet the sword sovereign first when you got back. He leans forward slightly, his expression turning serious and intensely curious. At that time, he asks, his voice barely a whisper, filled with a fragile hope, did you mention senior brother Keoj?